Chapter 631, The Empress in the Coffin. Liu Jingning's words stunned Zhu Ke on the spot. Are you kidding? Is this a ghost story? You two entered the hall together. How could you see Zhang Hongyan lying in the coffin? Zhu Ke didn't make a detailed inquiry, for it was quite difficult for Liu Jingning, who had been seriously wounded, to speak. Holding Liu Jingning in his arms, he landed on the ground. Zhao Teixuan and Zhao Munan sat on the ground and started to heal their wounds with their legs crossed. Zhu Ke was not stingy this time. He spent 1,000 acting tough points to purchase an 8-star pill, which was almost as effective as the one he used to heal Zhang Hongyan's wounds. Then, he put the pill into Liu Jingning's mouth. Soon, powerful vitality gushed out to heal many fatal wounds in her body. Liu Jingning regained consciousness and awoke. Her eyes were still full of shock. What happened? Zhu Ke asked. Liu Jingning shook her head. I don't know. After entering the hall, I didn't find any of you. Nobody was around me. I had to walk along alone. Finally, all of us gathered at the center of the ancient hall. Then, we found a stone coffin there. A stone coffin? Zhu Ke was surprised. This confirmed his assumption that this ancient bronze hall was probably a giant outer coffin, which contained the stone coffin inside. No, there was another possibility. This ancient bronze hall was a giant tomb buried under Desolation City. Now it had suddenly appeared in this world. When I went inside, I found tons of passages leading to the center of the ancient hall. A stone coffin was placed there. The peripheral area was full of spell formations. It looked like a sacrificial altar. Because, after saying that, Liu Jingning became pale and looked at Zhu Ke. The spell formations around the stone coffin are full of fresh blood, which was flowing toward the stone coffin. It is not a sacrificial altar. A weak voice said. Han Ying, the Holy Virgin of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, who looked quite pale, walked over with her hand clutching her chest. Then, she spoke in a low voice. It's a killing spell. Those who entered earlier wanted to approach the stone coffin. All of them were killed. Only their blood was left to awaken the one in the stone coffin. Hearing that, Liu Jingning couldn't help but tremble slightly. Zhu Ke was confused by the killing spell and the stone coffin. What happened to Zhang Hongyan? Rather, it's a Taoist connotation absorption spell. Every cultivator has a Taoist connotation. No matter how tiny it is, that spell sends Taoist connotations into the stone coffin through absorption of the blood to awaken the one in it. After saying that, Han Ying's face darkened and she spoke with killing intent gushing out of her body. This was a trap set up by Zhang Hongyan. Everyone entering the ancient hall will be turned into nourishment to facilitate her cultivation. That's impossible. If Hongyan set up this trap, how could she get us out of it? Liu Jingning retorted immediately. Han Ying opened her mouth but said nothing, as if she didn't know how to reply. Zhu Ke was quite surprised. He couldn't believe Han Ying's guess. Zhang Hongyan would never do that. Something else must have happened. He asked them to tell him the whole story immediately. With furrowed brows, Liu Jingning told him everything that had happened after her entry. When they had reached the center of the ancient hall, they discovered the spell formations. The blood in the spell formation was flowing toward the stone coffin. When they were trying to figure out how to approach the stone coffin, the ancient hall had started to vibrate suddenly. An enormous whirlpool gushed out from the stone coffin, which sucked everyone toward the spell formation. After that, a magnificent strangling force swept over them as if numerous invisible blades were trying to cut their bodies into pieces. But they could do nothing to stop that. At this critical moment, the stone coffin had vibrated and the coffin lid opened automatically. Zhang Hongyan had sat up and saved them by knocking them out with her palm. She asked us to leave immediately. Then, it seemed she lost consciousness suddenly and lied down like a corpse. The stone coffin closed automatically. We could still feel the suction force, so we had to run out together, Liu Jingning finished. Hearing her words, Zhu Ke was totally dumbfounded. The whole process was so suspenseful. How could Zhang Hongyan appear in the stone coffin? Was she the owner of that stone coffin? What happened to you when we entered the ancient hall? Hongyan and I saw you pass through the ancient hall. We planned to stop, but the entrance sucked us into the hall. Apparently, they had been behind him and watched him fail to enter the hall. I don't know what happened. You could enter, but Buttface and I couldn't. This ancient hall was just like an illusion for me and Buttface, as if it were not in the same world as us." After saying that, Zukei's heart hitched suddenly. Not in the same world? Could it be that I crossed over from another world and didn't belong to this world? But that's still not right, for Buttface didn't cross over to this world. I got it. Liu Jingning said suddenly as if she had realized something. Ah. Zukei was surprised. It's because of the Taoist connotation. Liu Jingning and Han Ying said almost simultaneously. Han Ying shook her head with a complicated look in her eyes. Before this, both of us were confused why there was no Taoist connotation in your magic arts. It's because you don't have any Taoist connotation. The reason you couldn't enter the ancient hall is that the entrance is formed by runes. Only people with Taoist connotations can enter. You and your dog don't have Taoist connotations, so both of you are kept out. Liu Jingning nodded, telling Zukei what Han Ying said was correct. Does this mean I will never enter the hall by any means? Zukei frowned immediately. Zhang Hongyan was still lying in the stone coffin, and her life was uncertain. If he couldn't enter the hall, how could he save her? Now he had two options. He could try to get his Taoist connotation, or he could continue to act tough and accumulate more acting tough points so that he could become a celestial spellmaster and break the spell in the ancient hall. However, neither option could be finished in a short amount of time. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this time, over 30 figures dashed over from afar. Dong Zhenji, Zhang Yushu and the other cultivators who had been cheated by Zukei before. They had followed Zukei here so that they could enter the ancient bronze hall and punish him. When they landed, they immediately felt something was wrong. All the holy sons, holy virgins, and powerhouses were seriously wounded again. Even their Taoist connotations were damaged. Now all of them were sitting on the ground to heal their wounds with their legs crossed. Guys, what happened? Why are you still here? The elder of the Gong family asked instantly. Qinji of the Illusionary Flower and Moon sect opened her eyes slightly and said in a low voice, "It is not a place we can set foot in." What happened? Zhang Yushu asked with furrowed eyebrows. Someone showed his respect to the elders by telling them everything that had happened. After that, the powerhouses at the void training stage who had just arrived felt their faces darken and they couldn't believe what they had heard. Damn, this must be a trap set up by Zhang Hongyan. We should have erased this calamitous beauty earlier. Zhang Yushu said angrily through clenched teeth. His face was full of remorse as if he felt regret that Zhang Hongyan hadn't been killed. Hearing that, Zukei's face darkened immediately. He stood and shouted, "Buttface, now you should heal Elder Jiang's wounds by punching his chest." Zhang Yushu was surprised by Zukei's words. Before he had time to say something, Buttface excitedly said, "Old man, lie down. I will heal your wounds with my ultimate unmatched give me back my health fist." Chapter 632, Wrong Magic Art. It's a trap. Zhang Yushu realized something was wrong, so he stepped back immediately. The rest of the people also raised their eyebrows. This wasn't Zukei's style. Why would he actively help them heal their wounds? Zukei said calmly, "Elder Zhang, don't you want to heal your wounds?" "Actually, I also have a reason. I can't enter the ancient hall because I don't have any Taoist connotation. Therefore, I have to heal you, and I have only one requirement. After entering the hall, you must save Zhang Hongyan and bring her out. You can't hurt her, otherwise, all of you will die." We paid the spirit stones to you. It's only right for you to heal our wounds. You aren't qualified to make such demands. And how dare you threaten us? The Gong family's elder snorted immediately. Zukei said with a cold smile, "Then you can get lost. You aren't qualified to enjoy our treatment. You're done." Zukei was in a bad mood. How could he tolerate the mystifying manner of the Gong family's elder? "You!" The Gong family's elder was immediately annoyed. His eyes were full of killing intent. At this moment, Dong Zhenji stepped out and said with a smile, "You misunderstood Elder Dong. Please don't ruin our friendship. Now, the ancient hall is still there. We should work together to get into it." HMPH. The Gong family's elder snorted and didn't argue with Zhu Ke anymore. He was quite clear on the fact that he could never enter the ancient bronze hall if Zhu Ke didn't heal his wounds. Zhu Ke kept sneering on the inside. From Liu Jingning's words, he knew these people were too weak to survive the ancient hall. Even he could heal them, they still wouldn't able to save Zhang Hongyan. Of course, Zhu Ke couldn't try it at all. Even if these people could enter the ancient hall after recovery, they might endanger Zhang Hongyan. Now, Zhu Ke also wanted to enter the ancient bronze hall. However, it was a pity that he could never make it happen without the Taoist connotation. My fellow cultivator, I, Dong Zhenji, will accept your conditions. Hongyan is my good friend. I will definitely save her. However, we have agreed to observe the rule of first come, first served. The Carefree Building paid the spirit stones first, so we should enjoy the treatment first. Dong Zhenji said with a gentle smile. Everyone else had a poker face. Everyone knew Dong Zhenji's reputation as a hypocrite. They had grown used to his acting. Zhu Ke waved his hand. No more arguments. Since you've paid the spirit stones, I will help you to recover. Now lie down. Buttface can heal you all at once, but you'll have to endure the pain. Of course. Dong Zhenji said delightedly. If he could regain strength, he would kill Zhu Ke first. The rest of the people also nodded. They had witnessed Zhu Ke's recovery before. When his bones were hit back into his body, it must have been very painful. However, since Zhu Ke could endure it, why couldn't they? Being guided by Zhu Ke, 20 powerhouses at the Void training stage who had paid 1 million best-grade spirit stones came to an open space and laid down. They were not afraid that Zhu Ke could harm them, for all of them knew Zhu Ke was almost a waste of a man. No matter how powerful his magic arts were, without the Taoist connotation, he couldn't reach the Void training stage and consequently, couldn't kill them. Sorry for the trouble, Buttface. Don't worry, I'll use elixirs to help you recover. Zhu Ke said while looking at Buttface lovingly. Buttface came up and sighed. Alas, fine, to rescue one person from death is better than building a 7-story pagoda. This is my destiny. I'm ready to pay any price. After saying that, he walked to the 20 powerhouses at the Void training stage with a grim expression and reluctant steps. Then he waved his paws in the air as if he was using marvelous magic arts. Standing behind Buttface with a cold smile, Zhu Ke asked while looking at Liu Jingning, "You really have no idea how I could obtain the Taoist connotation in a short time, right?" Teasing these fools was nothing important. The most urgent issue now was to find a way to save Zhang Hongyan. Liu Jingning shook her head. Your situation was totally unprecedented. I also want to know, how did you reach your current status without the Taoist connotation? Did you know that some cultivators lost the Taoist connotation because of accidents during cultivation? Zhu Ke asked unwillingly. Normally, if that happened, someone would always try to regain the Taoist connotation, and this method might have also suited him. Of course, however, after losing their Taoist connotation, these cultivators were useless. There was nothing they could do to remedy that. Moreover, they couldn't gain any progress in their cultivation. For the rest of their lives, they were just ordinary people who could use magic arts. Liu Jingning said. Zhu Ke became depressed immediately. This was so frustrating. After so many years, nobody could work out a way to regain the Taoist connotation. Just lie down, I'm going to heal your wounds. Buttface shouted at this moment. Then he dashed towards Dong Zhenji, who was closest to him. Whoosh! Buttface jumped into the sky and abruptly kicked between the legs of Dong Zhenji. Bang! Ah! Instantly, Dong Zhenji sat up and screamed hysterically. Hey, why are you screaming? Your lower body was wounded by that guy before. I'm healing your wounds first. If you scream like this, my treatment won't work. Buttface said, furrowing his eyebrows. The others were shocked. Could it be that the dog's treatment will lose effectiveness if we scream out our pain? Exactly. I was beaten up miserably before, but I didn't scream. Why are you screaming? Dong Zhenji, at least you're a building head. How could you yield to such a slight pain? Zhu Ke also said exasperatedly from afar. At this moment, Dong Genji almost wanted to kill someone. He already had the feeling that Zhu Kai and Buttface were cheating them. However, when he brought back the memories of Zhu Kai's treatment, Zhu Kai indeed hadn't screamed. Therefore, his disbelief was turned away temporarily. He endured the sharp pain by clenching his teeth and said, "Okay. This time I will definitely not scream." "Good." Buttface nodded and stepped back. He started to get a running start and jumped high in the sky. The next moment, he gave another kick at Dong Genji's lower body as he came down like a cannonball. Bang! This time, Buttface's kick was so powerful that it even created a big hole in the ground. His entire foot was in the soil. Dong Genji's lower body had already turned into a bloody mess. No matter how hard Dong Genji tried to endure, he couldn't put up with the pain anymore, so he screamed hysterically again. This pain was something only men could understand. "Damn, you screamed again. Do you actually want to heal your wound? I've wasted 2 treatments." Buttface said angrily. Zhu Kai also shook his head. Alas, what a spoiled child. If he couldn't put up with the pain, Buttface, just heal the others' wounds. The rest of the people also frowned. Dong Genji is too weak. As a powerhouse at the void training stage, you were just beaten by a dog several times. Why couldn't you endure the pain? Forget it. Your lower body is hopeless. I'll heal wounds for the others, for I can't waste my power on you," Buttface said, shaking his head. Zhu Kai suddenly shouted in surprise, "Wait, Buttface. I think you've used the wrong magic art. I asked you to heal them with the ultimate unmatched give me back my health fist. Why did you use the dick breaker kick?" Buttface was confused immediately. Soon, after it suddenly dawned upon him, he said, "Holy SHT, I did use the wrong magic art. Sorry, buddy." Dong Genji was almost driven crazy by the pain. Hearing the dialogue between Zhu Kai and Buttface, he became annoyed immediately. However, before he had time to say something, Zhu Kai shouted angrily, "Sorry, if sorry could work, why would we need policemen? SHT, he's been wounded miserably by you. Quickly, you must repair his penis with an earthworm." Chapter 633, Invitation from Han Ying. An earthworm? His words stunned everyone in the area. After a short while, all of them realized the meaning of his words, which again surprised them. This guy is so cruel, saying he will repair Dong Genji's penis with an earthworm. He's implying that Dong Genji's penis is very tiny. Moreover, if his penis is broken, how could he repair it with an earthworm? This is absolutely absurd. I don't have time to do that. Buttface howled. "I will treat others first. When he feels numbness instead of pain, I will come back to treat him." He started to walk toward others arrogantly. At this moment, the other 19 people lying on the ground got suspicious. "Can this dog really heal our wounds? Why do I get a bad feeling about this? Wait, let me use the mute art first." The one lying beside Dong Genji was the elder of the Gong family. He worried he would cry out, so he used a magic art to mute himself hurriedly. He is so weak. How couldn't he withstand this pain? Why does he have the nerve to live in this world? Zhu Kai, standing in the distance, said with a shake of his head. His words annoyed the elder of the Gong family a lot. However, he didn't want to reply. After using the mute art, he nodded his head slightly at Buttface to signal that the treatment could be started. He howled, "Here it comes, the ultimate unmatched give me back my health fist." Buttface raised his 2 paws as if he were using some magnificent magic art. After that, his paws started to rain down on the body of the Gong family's elder. Bang, bang, bang. Along with the continuous dull thuds, strands of fresh blood started to appear on the body of the Gong family's elder. It hurt very much just watching it. However, the Gong family's elder couldn't emit a sound at all. His eyes widened and he spat blood. Now he realized he had been fooled. Whoosh! He raised his hand and tried to stop Buttface's attack with magic arts. However, Buttface's paw landed on his forehead. Bang! After being knocked in the head, the Gong family's elder was seized with giddiness instantly and was almost unconscious. His entire face was covered in blood. He was greatly shocked. What kind of dog was this? How could its physique be so strong? Actually, Buttface's body was unfathomably strong. His attacks would be even more powerful than Zukei's even if he hadn't used a magic art. Luckily, he didn't have any Taoist connotation. Otherwise, he could kill a powerhouse at the void training stage with one punch. "Stop! How dare you fool us!" Another powerhouse of the Gong family shouted angrily when he realized they had been fooled. The elder of the Gong family couldn't speak, but he could send messages to others. After receiving his message, this powerhouse rushed to Buttface immediately and prepared to kill him. "I won't save them." Buttface, who was scared to death, turned around and dashed toward Zukei hurriedly. Zukei, who had already prepared for this situation, placed a three-colored fiery lotus in his palm and spoke with a smile. "Apparently, I'm teasing you. I didn't expect you could be so stupid to not realize it until now. You're seeking death." That Gong family's powerhouse, who was immensely annoyed, prepared to kill Zukei with his magic arts. Since Zukei didn't want to heal their wounds, they could feel free to kill him. "You're the one who's seeking death." Zukei sneered as he threw out the fiery lotus. Then, he put his palms together and created a giant heavenly thunder seal, which floated above his head. Boom! The fiery lotus hit the Gong family's powerhouse directly. Although it didn't have any Taoist connotation, the Gong family's powerhouse was still blown away by the extremely powerful explosion. The next moment, the heavenly thunder seal smashed down toward the remaining powerhouses at the void training stage like an enormous mountain. "Retreat." His attack surprised those cultivators, who started to retreat in a hurry. They knew clearly that Zukei couldn't kill them for he didn't have Taoist connotation. However, his magic arts could aggravate their wounds. When they tried to approach Zukei, he could escape instantly with his spells, so they couldn't harm him at all. They would suffer great losses this way. "Stop!" Zhang Yushu, the grand elder of the Zhang family, shouted to stop the cultivators and Zukei. Looking at Zukei coldly, Zhang Yushu said in a low voice, "Today we will let you go temporarily, but you will be the enemy of the entire East continent from now on. No one can save you." Hey, you can't scare me, and I don't think you are qualified to be my enemy." Zukei sneered as he didn't care what Zhang Yushu said at all. The thing he wanted the most now was the method to enter the ancient bronze hall. He didn't want to waste his time with these people. "Guys, let's prepare to enter the ancient hall. It's not necessary to waste time with this little bastard. Without Taoist connotation, he's just a wasted person. We'll have plenty of time to kill him in the future." Zhang Yushu finished by looking at the cultivators. The cultivators also nodded and stopped attacking Zukei anymore. He would absolutely escape if they attacked him with killing moves. This would be a waste of their true core strength. Also, they could be wounded by Zukei's counterattack, which would aggravate their wounds. The Gong family's elder, who trembled with anger, didn't lose his consciousness and accepted Zhang Yushu's advice. Only Dong Zhenji had been almost driven mad. He would never wash off today's humiliation in his entire lifetime. "Wang Saiken, I don't care whether your name is Wang Saiken or Zukei." Dong Zhenji yelled angrily as he lay on the ground. "From now on, you've become the sworn enemy of the Carefree Building. We'll hunt you down wherever you hide. Stop your nonsense. Poor eunuch. You're good at speaking tough words. If you are not a coward, come here and beat me up," Zukei said, waving his hand casually as if he didn't care what Dong Zhenji had said at all. However, the other cultivators were shocked by Dong Zhenji's declaration of war, which was as intimidating as the warning of the rest big families and sects. The Carefree Building was full of geniuses. Many people were trying their best to join it. If Dong Zhenji used several places as the bounty, maybe all sovereigns in this world might start to hunt Zukei, who would have no place to hide. Liu Jingning sent a message as she looked at Zukei. "Little brat, let's leave here." "Follow me." "No, I will take Hongyan out from that thing." Zukei shook his head as he summoned a system and tried to find a way to save Zhang Hongyan. However, the system could render only one method, which was to break the spell forcibly. The precondition was that he should be a level 2 celestial spell master. Liu Jingning continued to try and persuade him with messages. Now the entrance has disappeared. The ancient hall couldn't even be opened by those guys. let alone you. Also, in a few days, the patriarchs at the form synthesis stage who were startled will also come here. If you stay here, you will be able to do nothing and your life will be in danger." Zhu Ke fell silent. He knew clearly that he could do nothing if he stayed here. However, if he left, he could do nothing either. Now Zhang Hongyan was trapped in the ancient hall. Nobody knew whether she was alive or dead. He was not in the mood to keep acting tough. In addition, he would need a huge sum of acting tough points to reach the level 2 Celestial Spell Master, which would take a long time. "Brother Zhu, if you want to enter the ancient bronze hall by obtaining your Taoist connotation, maybe my master could help you. But you have to come with me to the Heaven Secret Pavilion first." A crisp and melodic voice suddenly floated through his mind. Zhu Ke turned around and found Han Ying, the Holy Virgin of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, sending him a message. "The Heaven Secret Pavilion? How could a fortune teller help me obtain my Taoist connotation?" Zhu Ke replied coldly. He had no love for those big sects. This issue couldn't even be solved by the system. He didn't believe those big sects could solve it. "You are wrong," Han Ying replied calmly with a slight shake of her head. "Fortune-telling is not the only skill of the Heaven Secret Pavilion. My master used to tell me that the Heaven Secret Pavilion is just a small branch. The real orthodox school is the Heaven Patching Pavilion. It has a magic art which is even more powerful than the Celestial Emperor's arts, and the name is the Heaven Patching Art." Chapter 634. A method to regain the Taoist connotation. The Heaven Patching Art? Immediately, Zhu Ke was touched. According to his memories in his past life, he knew the Heaven Patching Art was an art to remedy regret. Frankly speaking, it could offer people an opportunity to undo what they had done. However, could this art be real? He couldn't even find it in the system's store. Apparently, the rank of this art must have been very high. It was unavailable for him, at least for now. Moreover, if the Heaven Secret Pavilion really had this kind of art, they should have been invincible to the world. Zhu Ke had realized suddenly, so he regained his calm. No matter whether the Heaven Secret Pavilion had this art or not, he couldn't pin his hopes on it. "I didn't miss my guess, as expected. Your background is quite mysterious for you to even know of the Heaven Patching Art. I'm guessing you also know the effect of this art." It seemed Han Ying had figured out something from Zhu Ke's change of expression, so she delivered another message. "To be frank, I don't know the Heaven Patching Art. I've only read about it in books, which might be totally different from the Heaven Patching Art you mentioned." Zhu Ke shook his head. Even if the Heaven Patching Art was real and the same as the one he knew, it still wouldn't help him to regain the Taoist connotation. The Heaven Patching Art could offer people an opportunity to undo what they had done, but that opportunity only lasted for a very short time. For example, if one was injured, one could regain their uninjured status and avoid being injured by using the Heaven Patching Art. Also, when one was about to die, one could use the Heaven Patching Art to avoid death. This was the opportunity to undo what had been done. However, he didn't have the Taoist connotation, which was a mistake he had made from the very beginning. Could the Heaven Patching Art also offer him an opportunity to correct that? The possibility was very low. Let me put it this way. Actually, I also don't know the Heaven Patching Art. I guess no one in this world knows it. However, when my master was young, he used to catch glimpses of the Heaven Patching Art. That glimpse gave him his current strength and status today. Han Ying said while looking at Zhu Ke carefully, as if she was trying to glean more information from Zhu Ke's expression. However, this time, Zhu Ke was very calm. He said, shaking his head, "I also don't know the Heaven Patching Art. However, I know that even the complete Heaven Patching Art couldn't help me. No, I'm sure there's a way to regain your Taoist connotation," Han Ying said firmly this time. Zhu Ke was stunned and raising his eyebrows, said, "Then tell me." Han Ying smiled and delivered a message. "The precondition is that you have to come with me to the Heaven Secret Pavilion and tell us the Heaven Patching Art you know." "Just that? That's simple. I can tell you now. It's not necessary for me to go to your Heaven Secret Pavilion." Zhu Ke shrugged and was quite confused. "No, you have to say it in front of my master, then we'll know whether you're tricking us or not." Han Ying said with a faint smile. After dealing with Zhu Ke for a day, Han Ying knew clearly that she wouldn't believe Zhu Ke's words. Only her master could figure out the authenticity of Zhu Ke's words. Moreover, the purpose of her asking Zhu Ke to go to the Heaven Secret Pavilion wasn't only for the heaven patching art. She planned to ask her master to find out Zhu Ke's background and history through divination so that they would know the origin of Zhu Ke's magic arts. Oh, no, I won't go. However, Zhu Ke refused Han Ying directly without any hesitation and left immediately. Are you kidding? Go to the Heaven Secret Pavilion? Why should I obey your orders? The king of acting tough must defend his pride. Moreover, from Han Ying's words, he knew the heaven patching art would be different from the one the old man of Heaven Secret glimpsed. The heaven patching art he knew could remedy regret, while the art glimpsed by the old man of Heaven Secret bestowed him with a mysterious divination art. Therefore, they were totally different. Don't you want to regain your Taoist connotation? Han Ying asked in surprise. She hadn't expected Zhu Ke could refuse her directly. Normally, when people knew there was a way to regain their Taoist connotation, they would search for it at all costs. This guy didn't follow the common template by refusing her proposal directly. Of course I do, but I know your so-called method is absolutely unreliable. In addition, I also don't want to go to your Heaven Secret Pavilion. After speaking, Zhu Ke walked directly to the area below the ancient bronze hall. Liu Jingning had told him that nobody had regained the Taoist connotation successfully in this world. Why had Han Ying chose to tell him? Didn't she worry that the Heaven Secret Pavilion would be endangered by the divulging this news? Therefore, it was too good to be true. Looking at Zhu Ke's back, Han Ying frowned and said nothing, because her so-called method was unreliable. Indeed, no one could succeed with it. What happened just now? Was there someone bold enough to contact you? Liu Jingning asked with puzzlement, for she had noticed Zhu Ke talking to someone else just before when she was beside him. Zhu Ke smiled and told Liu Jingning about the conversation between him and Han Ying. Hearing this, Liu Jingning was stunned and asked with a strange facial expression, "You are wrong. The Heaven Secret Pavilion really does have a method to regain the Taoist connotation." What? Zhu Ke was dumbfounded immediately. Could it be that I outsmarted myself? This makes no sense. Didn't you say there was no method for that? He asked in surprise. Liu Jingning smiled a bit and said, "Because coincidentally, I also know the Heaven Secret Pavilion's so-called method. But that method is utterly useless. It's nothing else but a delusion." Woo. That's good news. Zhu Ke sighed in relief. This is definitely not good news. Why do you feel relieved? Liu Jingning asked in surprise. At least I know I didn't outsmart myself. Now, please tell me about this method of the Heaven Secret Pavilion. Zhu Ke said with interest. Liu Jingning paused a bit and said while shaking her head, "Actually, this so-called method won't work at all. In the past, someone used to come to the Heaven Secret Pavilion and ask for a method to regain the Taoist connotation from the old man of Heaven Secret. However, the Heaven Secret Pavilion just shut its door and declined to see visitors, for their method didn't work at all. That guy knelt outside the Heaven Secret Pavilion for 49 days and resolutely refused to leave. One night, under the influence of alcohol, the old man of Heaven Secret revealed that one could never regain the Taoist connotation unless he could comprehend the Tao by destructing his cultivation himself and becoming an ordinary person again. This is called destruction before re-establishment. Self-destruction of cultivation, destruction before re-establishment? Zhu Ke was surprised. It seemed this method could really work. It looked like Liu Jingning had noticed the eagerness in Zhu Ke's eyes, as she said immediately, "Little brat, don't be reckless. The only way for self-destruction of cultivation is to ruin the Danshan. The spiritual roots will also be ruined along with the Danshan. Then you'll never be able to start cultivating again in your life. Moreover, don't forget you've become a common enemy in the East Continent. Countless people are targeting you. If you destroy your cultivation, no one can protect you." "I know." Zhu Ke nodded, but he had been unable to hold himself back deep in his heart. Could the self-destruction of cultivation ruin my spiritual roots? Others needed to worry about this. Sure, But not him. At the very beginning, his entire spiritual root had been deprived. The system had repaired his spiritual roots completely. Now, he just needed to do it again, which was nothing to fear. However, one point Liu Jingning had mentioned was correct. He had really had a hard time in the East Continent. There was no difference between the self-destruction of cultivation and suicide. At that time, no matter how many divine escape spells he had, he couldn't use them freely like he could now. Little brat, don't tell me you're seriously considering that method. Liu Jingning frowned and asked, staring at Zhu Ke. She didn't worry about others. But Zhu Ke was someone who never followed the template. She worried that Zhu Ke would really try that method. No, how could I do such a stupid thing? Zhu Ke said embarrassedly. He would never destruct his cultivation when he couldn't ensure a safe environment for his recultivation. Liu Jingning gave a hollow smile to express her concern at the thought he might do that. Zhu Ke didn't want to waste his words. He jumped into the sky and tried to enter the ancient hall again. However, nothing had changed. Although the entrance of the ancient hall had disappeared, Zhu Ke just passed through the ancient hall and couldn't feel its existence at all. Alas, little brat, I'm sorry for your loss. Buttface sighed and patted Zhu Ke's back with one of his paws. Zhu Ke felt like something was wrong. He turned around and was immediately annoyed. Buttface wasn't consoling him. He was wiping the blood off of his paw onto Zhu Ke's clothing. The blood had come from a certain part of Dong Zhenji's body. Damn, do you want a good smack? Zhu Ke tried to grab Buttface and beat him up. FCK, no good deed goes unpunished. I was consoling you. Buttface turned around and escaped immediately. I don't need your F-King consolation. Zhu Ke cursed, but he wasn't in the mood to play with Buttface. He stopped outside the ancient bronze hall. Looking at the ancient hall, he felt really disappointed. Zhang Hongyan was in there, so close to him, but it seemed like she was as far away and untouchable as if she was in the most remote corner of the world. Could it be that I can save you only when I become a level 2 celestial spell master? Zhu Ke murmured in a low voice. For years, he had been on the run to revive Zhao by searching for the 5 Genesis herbs and had managed to find 3 herbs. However, the other 2 herbs had been taken by Wanjude. Therefore, he came to the East Continent. Now, he still hadn't found Wanjude and revived Zhao. Zhang Hongyan was about to leave her. This frustrated Zhu Ke a lot. To be a celestial spellmaster might be more difficult than reviving Zhao. Alas. He sighed, about to leave. However, when he saw powerhouses at the void training stage in the area, something came into his mind suddenly. Well, I still have a big mystery gift bag. Zhu Ke's eyes lit up. When he had killed the first powerhouse in the void training stage, he had received a big mystery gift bag and hadn't had time to open it yet. He was at the end of his rope over this issue, so he saw this gift bag as a possible solution, because it could bring him something he needed. But it required luck, and the last thing he had was luck. Chapter 635. I will destroy my cultivation. This was the first time Zhu Ke had activated the system so nervously and expectantly. He entered the system package and looked at the big mystery bag. His heart couldn't help but beat faster. He was really quite nervous. This decided whether he could enter the ancient bronze hall and save Zhang Hongyan. There were 2 methods for him. He could obtain Taoist connotation in the gift bag, or something which could break the spell in the ancient hall. He was counting on the gift bag. System, activate the lucky aura. Zhu Ke said cautiously in his heart. The lucky aura would consume a lot of acting tough points, but it could also enhance remarkably the possibility of getting the thing he needed. When the lucky aura activated, Zhu Ke concentrated his mind on Taoist connotation and breaking the spell as he fixed his eyes on the big mystery bag in the system package. Open it! He shouted in his mind. Then, the big mystery bag opened instantly. Several streams of light dashed out and landed in the empty space in the system package. The next moment, the warning tone of the system came in. Ding! Congratulations to the host in obtaining an original Taoist body. Ding! Congratulations to host in obtaining the 5th part of the one turning into 3 pure pellucid ones. Ding! Congratulations to the host in obtaining the fundamental law of cultivation transfer. which can only be used once in the host's life. Ding! Congratulations to the host in obtaining an unrated Magikarp, which doesn't have a name. The host can name this Magikarp Holy.sht. Zuke almost spat blood. What the hell are all of these things? He was a little bit excited about the fifth part of the one turning into three pure Pellucid ones. However, the other things were frustrating. He had obtained the third part of the one turning into three pure Pellucid ones, which he had given to Zhang Hongyan. With that part, Zhang Hongyan had managed to reach the void training stage from the infant transformation stage. According to rumor, the fourth part of the one turning into three pure Pellucid ones was hidden in the Mystery Land trial in the South Continent, which was soon about to commence. Therefore, Zuke was quite surprised to obtain the fifth part in advance. What he needed was Taoist connotation. If the Taoist connotation was unavailable, something else that could break the spell in the ancient hall was also acceptable. Now, what the hell did I get from the gift bag? The lucky aura is totally ineffective. Damn, this effing lucky aura is nothing but a phony. Zuke was so angry that he deactivated the lucky aura immediately. 8,000 acting tough points had been consumed just now, with 1,000 acting tough points consumed each second, and what he'd gotten was almost useless. How could he stay calm? Little brat, what are you going to do? Don't make more trouble. It seemed Liu Jingning had sensed Zuke's fury, so she sent a message to remind him as she stared at him in confusion. I won't make trouble. Zuke shook his head as he let out a breath and tried to slowly calm down. Actually, he should be responsible for all of this. If he didn't lust for convenience by accumulating experience through killing people, he couldn't have been so helpless today by counting on a gift bag to change his destiny. Is there really no other way? Zuke couldn't accept it. If he left Zhang Hongyan here, he would suffer a lot over the next few years. Little brat, I'm afraid your soul has been reaved by that woman. Is it really necessary to be so frustrated? At worst, you could cultivate yourself for another several hundred years. When you come back, you could open the ancient hall and save her. Buttface, who had come back, tried consoling Zuke. Alas, Zuke heaved a sigh and with melancholy said, I have no choice. She's so beautiful and attractive, and she has already broken my soul. No, it's because I'm a merciful man. Even if a butterfly were trapped, I would do my best to save it. Now the one trapped is Zhang Hongyan. Do you know the meaning of, a case involving human life should be treated with the utmost care? What if the one trapped were the she-devil Liu Jingning? Buttface asked curiously. I would also save her. When nobody is willing to go to the hell, I will. Zuke said in a merciful and heroic way. What if the one who is trapped were Dong Genji? I'd let him die. Could Dong Genji be considered a person? You save her because she's beautiful. You wouldn't be interested if a man were trapped. You know nothing. I'm pursuing my true love. Damn, you really have a lot of true loves. That's for sure. I have infinite love. You can't understand, for you're a single dog. FCK, I am a wolf. A magic dragon. The man and the dog started a bitter quarrel in the sky. The other cultivators frowned at the noise they created, so they isolated the noise with Magikarps, because the quarrel was full of embarrassing dirty words. Liu Jingning was stunned by their quarrel. She dashed with furrowed eyebrows. Could you stop your meaningless quarrel and follow me out of here? No problem, and I'll be back. Zuke said resolutely. Now he believed he couldn't stay here anymore. After quarreling with Buttface, he felt a bit better. He had to accept the fact that right now, he was not able to save Zhang Hongyan, and he could do nothing by staying here. When the patriarchs at the form synthesis stage arrived, he would also be endangered. The only way was to earn enough acting tough points so that he could become a celestial spell master. Whoosh! Finally, he ignited the divine escape spell and left the area with Liu Jingning and Buttface. He had made up his mind to go to the South Continent. On the way, Zuke felt a sense of loss. He summoned the system and entered the system package. Then, he started to review the items obtained from the big mystery bag. Original Taoist body, an original and natural Taoist fetus. The current level is ordinary person. After cultivation, it could become the host's incarnation. After reaching the summit of the void training stage, it could merge with the host, and they could reach the form synthesis stage together and double the host's strength. My gosh! Zhu Kei's eyes widened immediately. Originally, he had thought the Taoist body was useless. It was quite similar to a replica, and could be as powerful as the Shadow Mold of 3000 Thunders at most. The Shadow Mold of 3000 Thunders couldn't be killed, while the Taoist body could be killed at any moment. He never expected this Taoist body to be a cheating device. Once it reached the summit of the void training stage through cultivation, it could merge with him to double his strength. In this way, 1 + 1 was greater than 2. After reaching the form synthesis stage, he could enjoy the advantage of 2-on-1 when he fought against others. If he summoned his Thunder Illusion body, the advantage would be enhanced to 4-on-1. Nobody could defeat him at that time, however. It was still useless as of right now. Distant water couldn't quench present thirst. The Taoist body was awesome, but it couldn't solve the problem of the ancient bronze hall. Alas! Zhu Kei let out a heavy sigh as he flew forward. Liu Jingning and Buttface were surprised by his sigh, but they said nothing, for they thought Zhu Kei was still worrying about Zhang Hongyan. With deep regret, Zhu Kei turned to another item. Fundamental Law of Cultivation Transfer. It could be used to transfer the host's lifelong cultivation achievements and strength to others. Attention! The host can only use this magic art once in his life. Anonymous magic art. This magic art is not rated. Its level could go up along with Zhu Kei's understanding of it. There is no upper limit for the level of this magic art. Currently, this magic art doesn't have a name. An unrated magic art? What's the use of it? Zhu Kei was immediately quite curious about and attracted by this anonymous magic art. He even opened the magic art and found nothing in it. It was a wordless book. After reading the description again, he realized the meaning of this item at last. It was just an opportunity for him to create a magic art himself. Why had the system described it in such a mysterious way? It was totally useless. Alas! Zhu Kei sighed heavily again. Liu Jingning couldn't stand that anymore. She furrowed her eyebrows. Little brat, why do you always sigh? Could you pull yourself together and act like a man? She really didn't like Zhu Kei's current status. He was very depressed after one setback, which was even worse than the Holy Sun's. You know nothing. Zhu Kei shook his head. He sighed because he'd suffered a great loss just now. So many acting tough points had been wasted in opening the gift bag, and what he got was rubbish except for the one turning into 3 pure pellucid ones. How could I get a F-King Fundamental Law of Cultivation Transfer? Only a fool could transfer his cultivation achievements to others. Wait, it seems my problem could be solved. Zhu Kei's eyes lit up immediately as if he had realized something. Holy SHT, I got it now. I should destroy my cultivation. Damn, this is so annoying. If I'm the protagonist of a novel, the author must be a gas bag. Zhu Kei was pleasantly surprised. He was surprised by the relevance among the items in the gift bag, and he was quite pleased for he'd found the way to obtain his Taoist connotation. What did you say? Liu Jingning was shocked by Zhu Kei's complaints. She didn't catch his other words, but she heard destroy my cultivation clearly. Zhu Kei smiled as he flitted his hair. Then, he said confidently, I will destroy my cultivation and restart from zero. Chapter 636. This could work. What? Liu Jingning and Buttface were startled. According to his memories in his past life, he knew the heaven patching art was an art to remedy regret. It offered people the opportunity to undo what they had done. Self-destruction of cultivation? This wasn't for fun. Once he lost his cultivation, Liu Jingning could never protect him again, even if she could command the Utopia faction. Little brat, don't do anything stupid, Liu Jingning said hurriedly. She knew Zhu Kei's weird temperament very well, for he would always do things arbitrarily. She worried he would really destruct his cultivation, which could result in serious consequences. Save your words. I've made up my mind. I must destruct my cultivation and start it again, Zhu Kei said resolutely. He had figured out the pivotal meaning of the gift bag. The Taoist body and the fundamental law of cultivation transfer were definitely meant for him. If he transferred all his cultivation to the Taoist body, he would become an ordinary person and start cultivating again. Then he wouldn't have to upgrade his cultivation stage through killing people. Moreover, in this way, he wouldn't worry about being hunted by others. He would be fearless under the protection of his Taoist body. Most importantly, he had accumulated tens of millions of best-grade spirit stones, which could help him skyrocket his upgrades. In this way, he could save a lot of time compared to becoming a celestial spellmaster. Little brat, you're too naive. Not to mention you'll be hunted by the big families and sects. How can you ensure you can restart cultivation after that? Liu Jingning tried to persuade Zhu Ke while shaking her head calmly. Don't worry. First, I can guarantee they can't kill me. Then, I can ensure I can restart cultivation after the self-destruction of cultivation. Zhu Ke said with a smile. He was confident and delighted, for he had found a way. It's possible for others, but it will be quite difficult for you, Liu Jingning said with a weird expression. She believed Zhu Ke had some mysterious methods. However, there was still a serious problem for him. What do you mean? Zhu Ke asked. You're wrapped by terrifying spiritual qi. After the self-destruction of cultivation, your terrifying spiritual qi could be reduced, but never cleansed. Even if you could comprehend your Taoist connotation after starting cultivation again, if you kill one more person, the remnant terrifying spiritual qi will ruin your Taoist connotation. After saying that, Liu Jingning paused a bit and said seriously, unless you're planning to choose diabolism, then you could choose killing as your Taoist connotation. However, I believe Zhang Hongyan will detest your choice. The one who chooses killing as their Taoist connotation loses all worldly desires, eventually becoming a monster, and anyone has the moral right to kill him. Her narration was very earnest. Even though the Utopia faction and the Heavenly Demon sect were regarded as demonic sects, their behaviors were not that extreme. At most, they preferred to use cruel methods. However, they would never choose killing as their Taoist connotation and become monsters who had lost their sanity. Hearing that, Zhu Ke was also shocked. No wonder Zhang Hongyan always reminded him to stop killing people casually, otherwise, he would be devoured by terrifying spiritual qi. Luckily, he hadn't comprehended his Taoist connotation yet, otherwise, when his Taoist connotation was devoured by the terrifying spiritual qi, the Tao of killing would actually become his Taoist connotation until he lost his sanity and became a monster. That was close. Zhu Ke was stunned. He had almost fallen for diabolism and become what he hated the most, someone who was fond of killing others. He also knew the cause of this hidden risk. He had almost lost his mind when Zhao and all the other villagers of the Panshan village had been killed. He had just arrived in this world at that time, excited about the future. When he met Zhao, he saw the bright side of this world, which convinced him that it was even better than Earth. However, Zhao and the villagers of the Panshan village were killed before long. In front of countless dead bodies, all beautiful and nice things established in his heart collapsed instantly. At that time, he realized this world was not good at all. The world of cultivators was a dog-eat-dog place, even crueler than Earth. Zhao's death destroyed the little compromise and beautiful fantasy he had as a man from Earth. He had even spit out the blood from his heart at that moment. On the one hand, his cultivation stage had still been low, and he had gotten carried away with fury. On the other hand, his beautiful fantasy had been destructed, and he had been shocked by the ruthless means of those people. So, he had fought back by killing all the members of the fallen spirit sect and ruining half of the celestial sect. After that, he had developed a habit to vent his anger on the offender's sect whenever he was offended. Wasn't this the style of a monster? Luckily, the system had bestowed him with the capability to upgrade through killing, but the system hadn't given him the Taoist connotation, which had prevented him from becoming a monster. When I destroy my cultivation, I will never kill anyone myself before I reach the void training stage. Zhu Ke said earnestly. Liu Jingning was speechless. You don't want to kill others, but what if others want to kill you? When you fight back, the terrifying spiritual qi will ruin your Taoist connotation. Therefore, the self-destruction of cultivation won't work. No, it could work. Zhu Ke said with a smile. What I said just now was that I would never kill someone myself. Please pay attention to the word myself, which is the key. Do you want me to protect you? Liu Jingning said in surprise. Of course not. Are you kidding? As a member of the Exploding Heavens faction, how could I hide behind a lady? I also have my pride, okay? Zhu Ke said, widening his eyes. Actually, he didn't want to get Liu Jingning involved. Otherwise, the Utopia faction would be implicated. Then what's your plan? Except for Zhang Hongyan, I really don't know who else could protect you, Liu Jingning said with puzzlement. Zhu Ke smiled again. A lot of members of the Exploding Heavens faction could do that. Okay, let's bid goodbye here. I won't go back to the South Continent for the time being. It's time for me to comprehend my Taoist connotation. Goodbye. Liu Jingning was stunned. Then she saw Zhu Ke take out a spell and ignite it immediately. Wait, don't be reckless. Where are you going? Liu Jingning changed her expression immediately. Adios, little sister. Zhu Ke laughed when he grabbed Buttface. The next moment, their figures blurred. You. Liu Jingning still wanted to say something. Whoosh! Zhu Ke and Buttface had disappeared. She was shocked, for she hadn't expected Zhu Ke to leave and restart his cultivation after destroying it in such a decisive way. He really is a beast-ard. Liu Jingning was so angry that she kept stomping her feet before she turned around and left. Little beast-ard, you're so ungrateful. You just left and didn't want me to get involved in your business, right? Okay, I'll sit idly by, even if you are about to die. Several days later, the entire East Continent was startled. After being informed of the news of the ancient Bronze Hall, many people came to the place. However, nobody could enter the hall. At last, the big families and sex patriarchs at the form synthesis stage were also startled enough to come. They came to check the ancient hall personally, for they believed the hall might be an opportunity for them to break the bottleneck of their cultivation. However, all the patriarchs gained nothing. Even the old man of the Heaven Secret came to investigate the hall. After several glimpses, he sighed and left by shaking his head. The ancient hall was floating in the sky. Countless people came in high spirits and left regretfully. Of course, besides the ancient Bronze Hall which had startled the entire East Continent, Zhu Ke was also very famous. Almost everyone knew he had chosen to have a direct collision with the ancient catastrophe to help Zhang Hongyan cross her heavenly tribulation. Then he had killed thousands of cultivators and seriously wounded numerous holy sons, holy virgins, and powerhouses of the big families and sects. Even more surprising, he had cheated those big families and sects and taken away 2 million best-grade spirit stones by himself. Also, he had asked his dog to break Dong Zhenji's DCK. Of course, Dong Zhenji received elixirs after that. Together with several months of secluded treatment, his dick had been fully recovered. However, he had made himself a laughingstock. He sent his men to hunt Zhu Ke, but most of the time, he stayed in the Carefree building and seldom came out. Many people asked about Zhu Ke's whereabouts. However, no one had seen him in the East Continent, nor in the South Continent, the West Desert, or the North Sea. It seemed like the guy had just suddenly disappeared without leaving any trace in the world. Chapter 637, Zhu Ke's Ordinary Transformation. Several months later, on a small hill outside the celestial burial valley of the East Continent, a handsome young man, whose face was as clear as jade, was sitting in a pitch-dark cave with his legs crossed. Beside him, a dog was snoozing. Apparently, he had dug the cave in this hill. He had also set up an advanced concealing spell outside the cave, which hadn't been discovered by others. This man was Zhu Ke. He was learning the fundamental law of cultivation transfer. After several months' preparation, he managed to condense all his cultivation achievements and the Thunder Essences. At this critical moment, he chose to hide near the celestial burial valley instead of being far away. On the one hand, the more dangerous a place was, the safer it was for hiding. No one would expect him to hide near the celestial burial valley. On the other hand, he could stay close to Zhang Hongyan. From that cave, he could see the floating ancient bronze hall, which was not far away. He had finally finished all preparations and was going to start the cultivation transfer. From now on, I will be an ordinary person again. Maybe this is the so-called ordinary transformation, Zhu Ke murmured calmly. After several months, he was more stable than before, and he had a good mentality. He didn't feel weepy for the loss of his cultivation achievements. Whoosh! He summoned the system and took out the Taoist body. At first glance, the Taoist body was a translucent, lifeless human form that even didn't have facial features. It was entirely clean and spotless. Zhu Ke sliced his finger, and a drop of fresh blood plopped on the head of the Taoist body. Instantly, the entire Taoist body lit up. After that, bones, meridian, blood vessels, muscles, skin, and hair started to appear on the Taoist body. At last, a man who was identical to Zhu Ke appeared in front of him. Zhu Ke could gradually feel he was connecting with this Taoist body, as if it were part of him. I don't want to share my appearance with you, otherwise, it will embarrass me. Zhu Ke smiled. Then, he changed his mind, and the facial appearance of the Taoist body also changed accordingly. The Taoist body now had a face quite like that of Huj, who was young, stable and wise. Okay, now I feel much better. Let's begin. After taking a deep breath, Zhu Ke raised his hands to start the fundamental law of cultivation transfer. This magic art was designed for the Taoist body, which was the best gift in the gift bag. Rumble. Strands of magnificent and violent lights burst out from Zhu Ke's hands and gushed directly into the Taoist body. Along with the outflow of numerous true core strength, the cultivation stage of the Taoist body was rising like a rocket. Level 1 of the Qi refining stage, Level 2, Level 3, Level 1 of the foundation building stage, Level 2, Level 3. The cultivation stage of Zhu Ke's real body also started to fall slowly. At last, his cultivation stage had reached 0. The Taoist body, which had reached Level 9 of the infant transformation stage, was giving off a powerful aura. The next moment, magnificent thunder essences also gushed out from Zhu Ke and entered the Taoist body, followed by 3 kinds of mystical fires. Everything Zhu Ke had before had been given to the Taoist body, even his terrifying spiritual qi, which was accumulated through killing so many people. To his surprise, the black hair of the Taoist body started to gradually turn white. It was not a symbol of aging but was caused by the terrifying spiritual qi. The hair was as white as snow yet as sharp as blades. Phew. Finally, Zhu Ke let out a sigh of relief. Now he had been turned into an ordinary person. This feeling was quite familiar for him, just like when he opened eyes after crossing over to this world. Hey, I've prepared for this. However, when I become an ordinary person, I am still a little bit reluctant. Zhu Ke smiled with a sense of self-mockery, for he was not used to being a weak ordinary person. Luckily, he didn't waste his cultivation achievements by giving all of them to the Taoist body. Now the Taoist body was just like the third hand of him, which could be used at will. It's time to go out and act tough. Oh, no. I should start my cultivation and sense the Tao of the heavens and earth. Zhu Ke stood up as he changed his mind. Then, the Taoist body transformed itself into a strand of white light and entered his Danshan. Now, the Taoist body was sitting in Zhu Ke's Danshan quietly with its legs crossed like an original infant. Although Zhu Ke had lost all his cultivation achievements, he could still remember many skills, like the 1-star spell master, the 4-star chef, the 2-star musician and the 3-star alchemist, etc. With the skill of the spell master, Zhu Ke opened the concealing spell effortlessly. Standing in sunshine, he could feel the intense and refreshing spiritual qi around him. Buttface, who had been sleeping for a long time, was awakened at his time. He shouted immediately, "Howl, little brat, you woke up finally." Damn, after acting as your protector for so long a time, I am totally exhausted. You should treat me with some foods. Zhu Ke ignored Buttface directly. He stretched himself comfortably and enjoyed the breeze blowing in his face. Although he was an ordinary person now, His extraordinary temperament was even more intense than before. He took a deep breath and sensed everything between the heaven and earth. He felt so relaxed now. He could see the blue sky and green grasses, but he couldn't see the ancient bronze hall which was far away without his cultivation. Now he got feeling that he was really an ordinary person. Hongyan, I will leave now, but I will be back soon. When I could sense my Taoist connotation and know my Tao, I will be back. Zhu Ke murmured as he looked forward to the distant place. He didn't know what kind of route he should choose all this time, so he didn't have any Taoist connotation, and the Tao of acting tough could be barely considered as his Tao. How could he develop himself by acting tough? How could he obtain Taoist connotation through acting tough? In front of so many routes, could he find the Tao of acting tough? All these bewilderments prevented Zhu Ke from moving forward. It was just like he knew where to go, but he didn't know the road to his destination. Now he chose to become an ordinary person, so that he could find his route. Once he found his direction, he could reach his destination rapidly. Damn, little brat, you really destructed all your cultivation achievements. What should I do in future? Don't tell me you are going to ask me to protect you in future. Buttface was quite worried when he sensed Zhu Ke had no cultivation left. Of course, he was worrying about his safety in future. Don't be afraid. We still have countless members of the Exploding Heavens faction. The entire world is my territory. Zhu Ke said with a smile. Buttface shouted anxiously, shit, you are insane. From the very beginning, I know you are the only member of the Exploding Heavens faction. I'm not sure about that. Zhu Ke smiled and started to go down the hill on foot. It was quite rare that Buttface didn't run away this time. He chose to follow Zhu Ke after hesitating for a moment. Instead of asking his Taoist body to help him to move faster, Zhu Ke chose to walk together with Buttface. They went down the hill on foot as if they had beaten a new way of life. Chapter 638, Don't Bother Me. The next day, the sun was shining brightly. Zhu Ke didn't go to the ancient bronze hall again. He knew a lot of people were still wandering there, trying to enter the hall. To avoid trouble, Zhu Ke headed east. He slowed down his pace to enjoy the long-lost life of an ordinary person. However, this tranquil life only lasted for 2 days. In this area, there were still a large number of cultivators. Many powerhouses had given up on wasting time there, but some cultivators at lower cultivation stages still wanted to try their luck. A lot of people around made the area bustle. Someone built a town and established hotels. Both cultivators and ordinary people came to this town to do business. After entering the town, Zhu Ke and Buttface didn't attract too much attention. Someone looked at Zhu Ke and Buttface and smiled disdainfully. The partnership of a man and a dog reminds me of Zhu Ke. But it turned out that the guy was just an ordinary person. Zhu Ke ignored that person. With a faint smile, he reminded Buttface in a low voice that it was better this way and stopped him from exposing their identities by talking recklessly. They arrived at a hotel. Inside the hotel, several cultivators at the chi refining stage were shooting the breeze. Besides the ancient bronze hall, Zhu Ke was one of their hottest topics. Zhu Ke planned to get information about the situation outside. Therefore, he sat in a corner with Buttface and sat in an understated way, only ordering a pot of tea. Soon, the conversation of those cultivators came into his ears. Do you know where that guy is hiding? Could it be that he was killed? It's hard to say. Now, all big families and sects are hunting him. He's wanted by the entire East continent. It'll be very difficult for him to survive. Even worse, he's even wanted in the South continent, the West Desert, and the North Sea. I have to admit, he really is a tough guy. The Carefree Building hates him to the core. They sent word out that anyone who could provide his whereabouts will be admitted by the Carefree Building. Anyone who can kill him will be appointed as a Hall Lord of the Carefree Building. Holy SHT. This is definitely a big move by the Carefree Building. The 3 big families didn't want to be outdone. They offered a bounty of 5 million best grade spirit stones for his whereabouts. Haha. 5 million best grade spirit stones? Everyone knows that guy has 20 million best grade spirit stones with him. which makes him a target for all. The cultivators started to laugh loudly. Zhu Ke also smiled. He had anticipated the situation of becoming the common enemy of the world. However, just at this moment, a cultivator at the Qi refining stage joined them in a hurry and joined the cultivators. Then this cultivator said anxiously, "I have the latest news from the Carefree building. Zhu Ke might have destroyed his cultivation and hidden a way to restart his cultivation." "What? Is this for real? That means, even we have the chance to." The rest of the cultivators at the Qi refining stage had bright eyes and became quite excited. They were no match for a cultivator at the infant transformation stage. They could only talk about it privately. However, it was easy for them to handle an ordinary person who had destroyed his cultivation. Many cultivators at the Qi refining stage were tempted, let alone cultivators at the foundation building and the golden core stages. After the release of this news, Zhu Ke became the authentic common enemy of the world. Even cultivators at the Qi refining stage wouldn't let him go. What the hell? How could they know that? Could that she-devil have? Buttface said in a low voice, startled. Zhu Ke also frowned. Besides Buttface, only Liu Jingning knew he intended to destroy his cultivation. Buttface had been with him the whole time. Therefore, Buttface couldn't have disclosed this news. As a smart woman, Liu Jingning also wouldn't have spilled the beans. It's absolutely true. At that time, Zhu Ke was leaving with the Holy Virgin of the Utopia faction. Someone who happened to pass by heard Zhu Ke say he would destroy his cultivation. Later, the Utopia faction's Holy Virgin left angrily. It seems a secret relationship exists between them. A cultivator at the Qi refining stage said in a low voice at that moment. What a coincidence. Is it for sure? Someone questioned. The cultivator smiled. The passerby didn't disclose the news. He tried to search for Zhu Ke along with his friends, but they couldn't locate Zhu Ke after several months of searching. Therefore, he sold the news to the Carefree building and collected a lot of rewards. Now the Carefree building has released the news to corner Zhu Ke. Haha, this is becoming more and more interesting. Any combination of a man and a dog could be Zhu Ke and his pet. Someone cracked a joke. However, after hearing his words, the entire hotel immediately fell silent. The next moment, countless chilly eyes fixed on Zhu Ke and Buttface, who were sitting in the corner of the hotel. SHT. This is quite embarrassing. Buttface cursed in a low voice. Zhu Ke was still smiling calmly, although he didn't expect their conversation could be heard by passers-by. He picked up the cup and took a sip of his tea like no one was watching him. Then he said with a faint smile, "Guys, don't misunderstand. I'm not Zhu Ke. My name is Ding Yizhen. I'm the deputy mayor of Jingzhou City of the Handong province and the incarnation of Secretary De Kang. Being hunted by my enemy Hu Liangping, I had to escape to this area. Now I want to go back and retrieve my precious illicit money, so that I can stage a comeback. However, I need 50 yuan to pay the fuel surcharge for my air ticket. Please help me. You can transfer the money through WeChat. I'll present you a grand reward in the future. I hereby thank you all on behalf of Secretary De Kang." Ding Yizhen, incarnation of Secretary De Kang? His words confused everyone in the hotel totally. A group of cultivators stood up simultaneously and vigilantly surrounded Zhu Ke. The Carefree building and the big families had distributed Zhu Ke's portraits everywhere, yet it was impossible for everyone to know his appearance. However, the combination of a man and a dog would naturally attract attention and arouse suspicion. Some cultivators who had recognized Zhu Ke were about to leave the hotel. Apparently, they were afraid that Zhu Ke hadn't destructed his cultivation, so they planned to inform the big families and sects. "It's over, little brat. Stop acting, we've been compromised," Buttface said frustratedly. However, he kept rolling his eyes. Apparently, he was planning to flee alone. Zhu Ke was exceptionally calm. He wasn't worried for his safety after the destruction of his cultivation. As long as his Taoist body was with him, he would be fearless. Moreover, he hadn't fully comprehended his Taoist connotation yet. Therefore, killing was still an option. Whoosh! Suddenly, a figure appeared at the entrance of the hotel. The guy, whose face was covered by a black cloth, looked quite strong. His magnificent aura startled everyone in the hotel. This is the aura of a cultivator at the infant transformation stage. Some cultivators stepped back in terror, their faces ashen. However, that guy just ignored those cultivators. He looked at Zhu Ke and delivered a message in a low voice. Lord Zhu, Holy Virgin Liu asked me to escort you out of this place. After saying that, he leaned on the doorframe and cleared a path to prove he wasn't lying. Zhu Ke was stunned. Then he smiled. Where is she? The masked man continued to deliver his message. 2 months ago, the Mystery Land trial in the South Continent commenced. Our Holy Virgin and the people of the big families and sects left for that. However, there are still a lot of powerhouses here. You'd better leave. Zhu Ke nodded. Anyway, no matter if the man's words were true or false, as long as he decided to leave, no one could stop him. After taking a sip of tea calmly, Zhu Ke stood up and said, Guys, please tell the Carefree Building and the other big families and sects that I'm ashamed of my bloodthirsty behavior. Now, I've seen past the material world. Therefore, I have destructed my cultivation by myself and plan on living as an ordinary person. Please don't bother my peaceful and quiet life. After saying that, he stepped towards the gate of the hotel. When he passed by the masked man, he stopped for a short while and said with a smile, I didn't bring any money with me. Please help me pay the bill. Thanks. As you wish. The masked man nodded. His words were saturated with reverence towards Zhu Ke. He didn't show any aggression. On the contrary, he looked at the cultivators in the hotel coldly to manifest that he was there to escort Zhu Ke. Those cultivators could do nothing. Compared to the masked man, they were like ants, so they could only follow Zhu Ke with their eyes. Chapter 639, I have to call for reinforcements. That day, Zhu Ke's words were disseminated. He felt guilty because he killed too many people, so he destroyed his cultivation and wouldn't get involved in anything occurring in the world of cultivators. What he wanted was only to become an ordinary person. After receiving this news, all the big families and sects sneered. Did he destroy his cultivation because he felt guilty for killing so many people? That guy would be the last one who could feel guilty in this world. Apparently, he planned to cultivate his Taoist connotation after destroying his cultivation achievements. The Zhang family announced publicly that day, self-destruction of cultivation is not enough. The Zhang family could spare his life if he returns the spirit stones and apologizes for his offense by kowtowing to the Zhang family. The Gong family and the Bei family made similar announcements, saying Zhu Ke should return the spirit stones and apologize for his offense. However, the Carefree Building's attitude was quite firm. Zhu Ke would be killed. Although most people had left for the South Continent for the Mystery Land trial, Zhu Ke's appearance still brought the East Continent into an uproar. He had declared he wanted to be an ordinary person, but countless people still planned to kill him to obtain his spirit stones. Several days later, someone received news that Zhu Ke appeared on a mountain path. Numerous people, mostly from the big families and sects, immediately swarmed there, including some powerhouses at the infant transformation stage. However, none of them returned after entering the mountain. Their sudden disappearance made the situation quite creepy. The next day, Zhu Ke appeared in an ancient city and announced reverently, My fellow cultivators, please stop bothering me. I am just an ordinary person. Buttface also emphasized, I could guarantee with my noble wolfality that he has reformed himself thoroughly. Please, just let him go. Meanwhile, in a branch encampment of the Zhang family, several powerhouses at the infant transformation stage frowned after receiving the news. It seems the news is wrong. He has left the mountain. Call back those who had been sent to kill him before. This time, let's kill him personally. The situation in the Gong family was similar to that of the Bei family. Several powerhouses sneered. He can stop his fantastic dream of being an ordinary person. Now, he is just like a useless ant. He can only live in panic in the East Continent, and nobody can harbor him. Almost all geniuses at the void training stage of the Carefree Building had left for the South Continent. Now, only some sovereigns at the infant transformation stage were left. After knowing Zhu Ke's whereabouts, they also set off to kill him. No one who is targeted by the Carefree Building can survive, they announced. showing their determination of giving Zuke his certain death. The cultivators of the East Continent paid attention to the plans of the big families and sects and wanted to know what would finally happen to Zuke. 3 days had passed. All cultivators who tried to kill Zuke disappeared, one after another. Zuke, however, the so-called ordinary person, frequently appeared in some ancient cities. His sincere announcement would always be, "My fellow cultivators, I really like my life as an ordinary person. I hope you can stop bothering me, please." 1 month later, people realized something was wrong. A lot of cultivators from the big families and sects disappeared. However, Zuke kept showing up frequently and always declared his identity as an ordinary person. It was so creepy. One day, Zuke arrived at an ancient city. He prepared to have something to eat and take a rest. Whoosh! Suddenly, dozens of figures dashed over and landed on the ground, surrounding him. There were more than 20 powerhouses at the infant transformation stage, and their momentum was quite terrifying. A lot of disbanded cultivators who passed by the ancient city were startled by this sudden event, so they quickly became onlookers. Holy crap, it's him! After hanging around for over a month, he was finally found by those big families and sects, someone said, feeling sympathy for Zuke. He is stupid. Since he had decided to be an ordinary person, he could just quietly live in a remote village. You are stupid. This area has long been abandoned. If the ancient bronze hall didn't show up, we wouldn't have came to this place. How could he survive here as an ordinary person? Right. However, he is still quite foolish. Before his self-destruction of cultivation, he didn't go to the center of the East Continent. I'm afraid he can't leave this area in his life as an ordinary person, let alone go to the center of the East Continent. Shaking his head and smiling sarcastically, someone else said, Hey, you overthought it. Now, he has been surrounded by so many seniors at the infant transformation stage. His life will end here. While the onlookers were chatting, the dozens of powerhouses surrounding Zuke were still staring at him with cold smiles on their faces. He felt horrible pressure. Dozens of powerhouses at the infant transformation stage were really horrible. Some disbanded cultivators couldn't watch it anymore and started to exclaim. They knew clearly that Zuke used to be an extremely powerful cultivator before his self-destruction of cultivation. He killed thousands of cultivators alone and seriously wounded more than 200 powerhouses at the void training stage. Therefore, he should be the most powerful sovereign in the East Continent since the beginning of its history. It was a pity to see him surrounded by dozens of mediocre cultivators at the infant transformation stage and the original infant stage. Alas, if he still had his cultivation, these people would be just like ants before him. A girl exclaimed among the onlookers. She felt sorry for Zuke's situation. Girls always adored powerhouses, so she couldn't help but utter her inner voice. The old man beside her was shocked by her words. He covered her mouth immediately and said, "Mind your words." If her words were heard by those powerhouses, the old man and his granddaughter might be killed before Zuke. Luckily, those people were concentrating on Zuke. One of the powerhouses at the infant transformation stage said, "Zuke, surrender all your spirit stones. Then, you should come to our Zhang family and kowtow for 3 years to apologize for your offense. If you refuse, you will be killed now." A powerhouse at the original infant stage of the Gong family stepped out and said with a cold smile, "Zuke, if you want to live, after kowtowing for 3 years in the Zhang family, you should come to our Gong family and kowtow for another 3 years. 6 years later, you should kowtow for another 3 years in our Bei family." Haha, in this way, our illusionary flower and moon sect has to wait for 12 years before he could kowtow in our sect. It doesn't matter. After that, he should also kowtow in our drifting cloud sect. Damn. How is this issue related to your drifting cloud sect? He has also offended us before. One of our apprentices was attacked by his lightning. We have to avenge him. Before the fight, they even started to discuss the disposal of Zuke by making a schedule for him to apologize for his offense to the big families and sects in his life. However, They were just kidding. They knew Zuke would definitely be killed that day. An ordinary person could only accept his fate of being killed like an ant. Moreover, a lot of sovereigns of the Carefree Building at the infant transformation stage had come. All of them had announced they would never spare Zuke's life. Alas. Zuke sighed slightly and said, "This tit for tat will last forever. I have destroyed my cultivation. You still don't want to let me go. Are you going to force me to call my friends in the Exploding Heavens faction?" The Exploding Heavens faction? Hearing his words, the powerhouses sneered. "I've never heard your so-called Exploding Heavens faction. Do you think you could scare us with the name of an unknown sect?" A powerhouse said sarcastically. "This is the East Continent, which is under our control. Even the big sects from the South Continent have to kneel here. You should know your situation. Now, kneel down and kowtow to us. We could spare your life temporarily." Those powerhouses didn't want to kill Zuke immediately. They knew the seniors of their families or sects used to be fooled by Zuke. They planned to double the size of their retaliation. Alas. Zuke sighed again and waved his hand. "In that case, I have to call for reinforcement from the Exploding Heavens faction." After saying that, Zuke looked up at the sky and yelled loudly, "The Heavenly King overshadows the ground tiger." Stewed chicken with mushroom. "I am Zuke of the Exploding Heavens faction. Members of the Exploding Heavens faction who are in this area, I need your help." Swish. The entire area fell silent instantly. All the cultivators were dumbfounded and looked at Zuke as if they were looking at a fool. What the hell? Is he insane? How can he call for help in this way? Do you really think the members of your Exploding Heavens faction are ubiquitous? Boom. The next moment, a thunderclap came from the cloudy sky. After that, more than 10 figures appeared. They all had snow white, long hair and wore black robes embroidered with red clouds. With formidable momentum, all these cultivators were at level 9 of the infant transformation stage. All at once, their horrible pressure gushed out and suppressed everyone in the area. Their deafening roars were echoing in the sky. Huoyuk of the Exploding Heavens faction has arrived to protect you. Yi Liangjin of the Exploding Heavens faction has arrived to protect you. Zhu Ziqian of the Exploding Heavens faction has arrived to protect you. Da Shuiyu of the Exploding Heavens faction has arrived to protect you. Wu Wukai of the Exploding Heavens faction has arrived to protect you. Chapter 640, Any of them. Over a dozen figures appeared when the earth-shaking sound happened. With grandeur momentum, they overlooked everything from the sky with their hands behind their backs. Everyone was totally dumbfounded and their eyes were full of disbelief. What's going on? The Exploding Heavens faction is really ubiquitous. How can he easily summon so many powerhouses at the infant transformation stage? Also, these powerhouses are at level 9 of the infant transformation stage. This is way too outrageous. The powerhouses who surrounded Zuke were also shocked. However, they soon calmed down. After all, they also had over 20 powerhouses at the infant transformation stage. Maybe their powerhouses at level 9 of the infant transformation stage were outnumbered by Zuke's reinforcements. But they had quite a few powerhouses at other levels of the infant transformation stage. The winning side would still be determined by the real combat. What a powerful Exploding Heavens faction. It seems you're quite special. A powerhouse at the infant transformation stage of the Carefree Building sneered sarcastically. Otherwise, they wouldn't send so many people to protect you after the self-destruction of your cultivation. They couldn't imagine summoning so many experts from the Exploding Heavens faction. The identity of Zuke must be very special if so many people had been sent to secretly protect him. HMPH, you're really shameless. You said you don't want to kill people anymore. I guess you killed those sent to kill you before though, right? The Zhang family's powerhouse at the infant transformation stage spoke angrily, for he'd realized the truth. This realization dawned on everyone else. No wonder this guy could stay intact while those who were sent to kill him disappeared inexplicably. He was being secretly protected by experts. Damn, he is too insidious. He said he was ashamed of his ferocious killing behavior and almost convinced us. None of us expected the truth to be this. We've never seen such a shameless person. Some disbanded cultivators planning to attack Zuke hid the fact that they broke into cold sweat hearing this information. Luckily they hadn't carried out their plans, otherwise, they would have been among those Mias. Alas. Zuke sighed. I've told you so many times. After the self-destruction of my cultivation, I stopped killing others. I am really tired of this kind of life. Why can't you allow me to be an ordinary person who lives in peace? Hearing his words, those people almost went crazy with anger. An ordinary person? What ordinary person would be protected by over a dozen powerhouses at the infant transformation stage in secret? However, Zuke didn't kill a person. After all, his real body didn't have any cultivation left, so he couldn't kill others that even he planned to kill sometimes. His Taoist body could be equated to another Zuke, one who had all his cultivation and magic arts before the self-destruction of his cultivation. His Taoist body could even summon the shadow mold of 3,000 thunders. In this way, his real body was under the protection of two Zuke at the infant transformation stage. As for those replications, they had been created by an ordinary replication art. They appeared to be quite powerful but were really just paper tigers, which could be seen through in real combat. Even so, a real Taoist body could easily defeat any opponent at the same cultivation stage. Those who were sent to kill Zuke had been killed by the Taoist body. Also, Zuke was pleasantly surprised to find that people killed by the Taoist body didn't trigger the terrifying spiritual chi in his real body. All terrifying spiritual chi was absorbed by the Taoist body and wouldn't cause any influence on his real body. Also because of this, Zuke decided to show up confidently. Anyway, no matter how many people the Taoist body killed, his real body wouldn't be endangered. Therefore, it was unnecessary to keep hiding in the mountain. I really underestimated your Exploding Heavens faction, which can send so many experts to protect you. A young man at the original infant stage of the Zhang family snorted. However, don't count your chickens before they hatch. If the elders at the void training stage of my family were here, you would be taken down no matter how many experts are protecting you. The powerhouses of the other big families and sects also stared at Zuke coldly with murderous looks on their faces. They believed the reasons Zuke could be protected by so many powerhouses at the infant transformation stage were his high status in the Exploding Heavens faction and his powerful strength, which could be well matched with cultivators at the void training stage. But the status and strength of these protectors must have been low. Otherwise, how did they become protectors of others? Therefore, they believed that once the powerhouses at the void training stage of their families or sects were here, Zuke would definitely be taken down. Even he had over a dozen protectors at the infant transformation stage. Zuke smiled and his eyes were filled with chilly, intimidating rays. Alas, this is so melancholy. Since you can't kill me, why did you come here and disturb my life? How about this? From now on, those whose cultivation stage is lower than the void training stage shouldn't try hunting me, for they can only bring disgrace on themselves, okay? Whoosh! The entire area fell silent. Many onlooking disbanded cultivators' eyes widened because of the terror in their hearts. Has he really become an ordinary person after the self-destruction of his cultivation? Why is his momentum stronger than ours? A disbanded cultivator at the original infant stage asked in terror. This is impossible. How could an ordinary person have such powerful momentum? The other onlookers were also terrified and thought this was unnatural. The powerhouses encircling Zuke were also in a dilemma. All of them wanted to kill Zuke. However, faced with so many of Zuke's protectors, they hesitated. Moreover, they knew Zuke had spells which could teleport him away instantly. If both sides suffered great loss during combat, Zuke could ignite the spell to escape, and all their efforts would be in vain. After a moment of silence, powerhouses of the Zhang family and the Gong family stepped out and said coldly, we will let you go this time. When the elders of our families come back, Your death will be imminent. Powerhouses of the Carefree building glared at Zhu-Kai. We'll let you live several days longer. Representatives of the big families and sects expressed their opinions. The rest of the crowd knew that it was over for today, so they stepped back immediately and didn't dare get in Zhu-Kai's way anymore. However, just at this moment, Zhu-Kai raised his eyebrows and calmly said, "Do you think you can just leave like this after standing in my way? Although I am an ordinary person, I can't accept being bullied by you like that. You can't just show up and leave at will. You should show your due respect to an ordinary person." Zhu-Kai became excited as he spoke. The onlookers were dumbfounded. It's truly unbelievable for an ordinary person to want to do respect in front of so many powerhouses at the infant transformation stage. He is definitely going to cause more trouble. "Hey, Zhu-Kai, do you really think we are afraid of you?" Hearing his words, the powerhouses of the big families and sects were instantly annoyed. Originally, they planned to step back and let Zhu-Kai go temporarily. They hadn't expected him to be so stubborn and shameless. "If you want to fight, we'll give you a good fight. Let's see who the victim will be in the end," the young genius of the Carefree building said coldly. "Okay." Zhu-Kai replied with a faint smile, then he changed it up again. "However, it's unfair to bully you with so many people. I'll pick one to play with you." After saying that, Zhu-Kai pointed at his Taoist body beside him before the onlookers had time to react. Then, he said with a smile, "Li Zioyao, I choose you this time. Among them, you are the weakest one. You should take this opportunity to polish your skills by fighting against all of them." Chapter 641, I, Zhu-Kai, don't want the protector like you. One fights against all of them. Zhu-Kai's words stunned a lot of people immediately. They thought a messy fight would begin soon. They didn't expect Zhu-Kai could be so arrogant that he only sent one of his protectors to fight against all his pursuers. According to his words, it seems the one he chose is the weakest among his protectors. He even asked that protector to polish his skills by taking this opportunity. Damn, you are facing at least over 20 powerhouses at the infant transformation stage. How could you ask one protector at level 9 of the infant transformation stage to fight against all of them? You are not asking him to polish his skills, you are sending him to hell. Whoosh. At this moment, the Taoist body landed on the ground from the sky abruptly by standing on the lightnings. After that, the Thunder Illusion body also landed and stood beside Zhu-Kai. Although Zhu-Kai was not afraid of those cultivators, he could still be killed by a low-level cultivator easily as an ordinary person, which would be extremely shameful for him. Therefore, for the sake of his safety, Zhu-Kai asked the Thunder Illusion body to stand beside him. The rest replicas, which were all illusions, couldn't protect him at all. He preferred to put them in the sky so that he could earn some acting tough points. However, if those replicas were standing in the sky quietly, the effect of acting tough was not obvious enough for him. Zhu-Kai rolled his eyes and then controlled those replicas with his mind. Whoosh! All of a sudden, one replica rushed over and said majestically, "These ants are not qualified to act as the practice objects of Li Zioyao. Let me kill all of them with one move." The onlookers were shocked immediately. The powerhouses of the big families and sects also darkened their faces as they stared at the replica coldly. No, Lu Ziofeng, you go back. Would you please do me a favor? Just don't bully them in this way. Zhu-Kai stepped out hurriedly and tried to prevent that replica at this time. The replica frowned and said with a sigh, "Alas, Zhu-Kai, you are so soft-hearted. This world of cultivators is too cruel for a merciful man like you. I killed too many people, so I destructed my cultivation. Now I only want to be a good man." Zhu-Kai exclaimed. The replica shook his head. "Do you want to be a good man? Okay, you could tell that to our faction leader, and let him decide whether you could be a good man or not." Zhu-Kai furrowed his eyebrows slightly. "You are asking me to die." "Sorry, I am a policeman, who knows?" After saying those words, Zhu-Kai and the replica started to stare at each other thoughtfully. All at once, their dialogue confused everyone in this area. Why are they talking about good man? Are they going to start an infighting? Holy shit. Buttface was dumbfounded directly. He knew Zhu-Kai had a Taoist body, and the rest were just replicas. The performance of Zhu Ke and his replica had totally overturned his view of life. No one could defeat the wickedest person. If the wickedest person is also shameless, he will be invincible in this world. Buttface exclaimed and was ashamed of being inferior. HMPH, stop your absurd words. How dare a waste person showboat here? If you want to fight, I, Zhang Yang, will give you a fight. A sovereign at the infant transformation stage of the Zhang family stepped out at this moment, with a long sword in his hand. His facial expression was chilly cold. Zhu Ke turned around immediately and said by furrowing his eyebrows, "One person is not enough. All of you should gang on my protector, otherwise, it will be very boring." "Stop your nonsense, you are seeking death." Zhang Yang squinted his eyes and a divine thunder gushed out from the long sword in his hand. The crackling thunder was turned into numerous lightning shadows. It was the famous skill of the Zhang family's grand elder, Nine Heavens Thunder Shadow Sword. "Wow, you want to die first? No way, Li Zioyao. You could just play with them casually. Don't use those powerful magic arts. You could practice the sword art I taught you before." Zhu Ke said calmly as if he was asking his Taoist body to fight against some juniors at the Qi refining stage. His words frozen the blood of the onlookers. This guy is really a murderous monster as expected. He is so cruel. How could he set up his protector? I've never seen a horrible person like him. After asking his protector to fight against so many powerhouses alone, he even prevented the protector from using powerful magic arts. Alas, we can't afford to offend him. Many people shook their heads and thought this Li Zioyao was facing his certain death. However, Zhu Ke's Taoist body, who was unusually calm, looked straight ahead with a deadpan expression. His white hairs were whirling about in the wind, just like numerous sharp blades which were gaining momentum. Boom! Suddenly, a horrible momentum gushed out from his body. Then, he dashed forward abruptly with an 8-star sword in his hand, of which the blade was buzzing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the twinkling of an eye, the Taoist body turned himself into 9 stands of light. Then, the lights formed a majestic 9-palace array, which covered those powerhouses directly. After that, the entire area was filled with silent but horrible killing intent. What? Zhang Yang, who was dashing forward one moment ago, stopped immediately, for he had been greatly shocked. He was quite confident that his Nine Heavens Thunder Shadow Sword was invincible among the cultivators at the same cultivation stage of his. He had never seen such a formidable sword art, which could be turned to 9 strands of light and form a sword array. Swish, swish, swish. At this moment, a rendering sound came in along with the interwoven sword beams. All people in this area were dumbfounded and couldn't believe what they had seen. Now, Zhu Ke's Taoist body had disappeared in their eyes. What the onlookers could see were only those dumbfounded powerhouses as well as those dazzling sword beams which were traveling among those powerhouses. Flop, flop, flop. The next moment, the powerhouses of the big families and the sects fell on the ground one after another, no matter they were at the original infant stage or the infant transformation stage. They still kept that dumbfounded expression. However, bleeding cuts had appeared in their throats and chests. Their robes had been soaked in blood. All their vitality had disappeared. Apparently, none of them survived. Whoosh! At this moment, Zhu Ke's Taoist body showed up and went back to his original position in the blink of an eye. Clang! He put the sword back to its sheath. In the breeze, the Taoist body was still in a deadpan expression as if nothing happened just now. He turned his back on the onlookers and sighed calmly. Then, he murmured in a low voice, "Alas, another batch of revenants of my sword." At this time, the entire area was in a dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. They could feel cold in the back and their legs were trembling slightly. What is this sword art? It was an extremely fast sword art, which was as swift as a sudden clap of thunder that left no time for covering ears. The onlookers even failed to see the attack moves clearly. When everything was finished, only a lot of dead bodies were found on the ground. Is there really such a horrible sword art in this world? Only the legendary celestial sword art could be powerful. The onlookers became more and more fearful as they thought of it. They swallowed with difficulty and didn't dare to say a word. Everything happened so quickly. Dozens of powerhouses, who planned to capture Zuke, were killed easily by a mediocre member of the Exploding Heavens faction. How formidable this Exploding Heavens faction is, alas. At this time, Zuke sighed suddenly. His eyes were full of disappointment and some grief. Then, he said, "Li Ziao, this is unacceptable. You are too weak. I've told you so many times. Your attack should be faster. Just now your attacks were slow and also missed the targets. Forget it. You are fired." This is so humiliating. I, Zuke, don't want the protector like you. You can leave now. Chapter 642, The Sudden Coquettishness. Shameful? How could you describe such rapid and powerful sword dart as shameful? Damn. Could it become even faster and more powerful? The onlookers were almost frightened to death. The Taoist body also felt a bit guilty and shook his head. Alas. It's my fault. Just now I underestimated them, so I was a little bit inattentive. I only used 30% of my strength. Underestimate. The onlookers nearly fainted. His sword attack was so formidable. How could he say he'd only used 30% of his strength? What if he used all his strength? Suddenly, Zuke lost his temper and angrily said, "Stop your modesty. Do you really think I couldn't tell? How can you say you used 30% of your strength? You were using less than 10% of your strength." One replication came over and said, Okay, I, Lu Xiaofeng, hereby request you to forgive Zioyao for my sake." Zuke was still very angry and said, "How could I forgive him? He has been practicing this sword dart for a whole day, and his progress is really poor. Why should I forgive him? How could he possibly enter the top 1,000 of the Exploding Heavens faction's expert list next year? Holy SHT. One of the onlookers couldn't help but exclaim, "This is too effing terrifying." After one day of practice, he already had such powerful sword dart skills. More importantly, Zuke was still disappointed in him. Even with his amazing progress. More frightening still, how couldn't this powerful Li Ziao enter the top 1,000 of the Exploding Heavens faction's expert list next year? In other words, they have over 1,000 powerhouses even stronger than this Li Ziao. Many people were terrified, especially those small families and sects, who had been letting everyone know they would hunt Zuke, were very upset. Even if Zuke were a liar, the strength of Li Ziao proved the extraordinary power of the Exploding Heavens faction, which they couldn't afford to offend. "You're right," the Taoist body said shamefully. "I didn't work hard enough and I was inattentive. Please give me one more day. I will master this sword dart perfectly." The onlookers' minds went blank. The corners of their lips twitched. "You want to master it in one day? No. You should at least reach the peak of perfection of this sword dart within one day. Come here, let me show you again." Zuke took a sword from his thunder illusion body as he spoke. Under the solemn eyes of the onlookers, Zuke became serious and his eyes filled with cold light. He thrust the sword in his hand abruptly forward and then kept that stance for a while. Then, he shouted, "Did you see it clearly? Have you grasped the essentials, just like this? Stab it abruptly and then tremble." The Taoist body nodded humbly. "Now I get it." The onlookers were confused. "What the hell is this?" "Just stab the sword forward, and that's it." Even a 3-year-old could do that. At this moment, Zuke felt a tingle in his hand from grabbing the sword. After all, now he was just an ordinary person, who was easily tired after keeping a gesture for a long time. Therefore, the sword in his hand trembled a bit uncontrollably. Before the onlookers had time to react, Zuke said, "This tremble is the key point of the second move. A little tremble is just perfect." "Okay, that's all for today. I hope you won't fail me next time." "Okay." Being controlled by Zuke's soul, the Taoist body nodded cooperatively. How could this be? All onlookers blacked out and were angry enough to spit blood. Damn, shameless. He is too shameless. Buttface, who stood beside Zuke, admired him from the bottom of his heart, feeling as if he had just watched a wonderful performance. He'd lived a long time but had never met a person as good at acting tough as Zhu Ke. How can he act tough so proficiently and talk so many waste words during a fight? He even performed an on-the-spot lesson. Zhu Ke is a cruel guy, and is also good at blah blah blah. Buttface said, giving a perfect evaluation. Zhu Ke ordered the Thunder Illusion body to kick Buttface off. At the same time, the warning tone of the system for his successful tough acting kept echoing in his mind, which made him smile in satisfaction. Everyone killed by his Taoist body wouldn't generate any terrifying spiritual chi in his real body. However, his real body couldn't get any experience either. All experience points were gained by the Taoist body. However, this was exactly what Zhu Ke wanted. Before figuring out which Taoist connotation he wanted to have, he didn't want to start his cultivation. What satisfied him was that he could always earn acting tough points through his Taoist body, the Thunder Illusion body, or his replications. Generally speaking, it was profitable for him. Moreover, to prevent the onlookers from figuring out that he had magic arts to create the Taoist body or replications, Zhu Ke didn't order the Taoist body to use the Buddha's fiery lotus or the dark heavy buster sword. He even didn't allow the Taoist body to use lightning. On the contrary, he asked the Taoist body to use a sword. However, this sword dart was also quite extraordinary. To cultivate his soul, the sword spirit had been in his secluded cultivation for a long time. However, before that, the sword spirit taught Zhu Ke a Celestial Emperor's sword dart, which was named the Nine Grids Sword Dart of Celestial Thunder. This sword dart was the most orthodox lineage. When the sword spirit fought north and south by following the Celestial Emperor, this sword dart was branded in the soul of the sword spirit, which contained all the Celestial Emperor's knowledge on sword art. After that, Zhu Ke preferred to kill people with simple and crude ways. Therefore, he didn't show off this sword dart often. Zhu Ke taught this sword dart to the Taoist body, and now its amazing power was finally on display. As for everything he'd said in front of the onlookers and the lesson, it was just more of Zhu Ke's nonsenses. Actually, the Taoist body had used his full strength to show off this sword art. The cultivation stage of the Taoist body was too low, so the power of the sword dart wasn't quite horrible, but it was still lethal enough to instantly kill dozens of powerful enemies at the same cultivation stage of the Taoist body. Alas, I didn't expect the consequences of today's issue to be like this. It's really a shame for me to indirectly cause the deaths of people. Zhu Ke looked up and sadly exclaimed, I hope they can take that as a warning. Stop bothering my peaceful life. I really want to be an ordinary person. After saying that, Zhu Ke looked at his Taoist body and the replications and, in low spirits, said, You can go now. Let me experience the danger and evil of this world alone. Even if I'm just an ordinary person, I still want to have a well-honed strong mind. The onlookers were speechless. How could you hone your mind by taking dozens of protectors at the infant transformation stage with you? You will never have a well-honed strong mind in this way. How could you have the nerve to say you are just an ordinary person? Have you considered the feelings of actual ordinary people? Finally, being stared at by so many onlookers with terrified and confused expressions, Zhu Ke's Taoist body and replications left. Then, Zhu Ke also turned around and left the city. He didn't want to be in it anymore. After all, he had finished acting tough, so he could move on to the next destination. However, the news that Zhu Ke had protectors spread at a surprising pace, like wildfire on the prairie. Some people started guessing Zhu Ke's background. Some people started sniffing around for all information about the Exploding Heavens faction. Everything everyone talked about was related to Zhu Ke and the Exploding Heavens faction. The consequence was that when Zhu Ke arrived at an ancient city, everyone tried to keep a good distance from him. Nobody dared offend or approach him. This made Zhu Ke quite depressed, but also a bit relieved. After all, he could really sense heaven, earth and the Taoist connotation, and he would figure out his own Tao as well as his path to the future. 2 months later, Zhu Ke was still in this desolate area in the Celestial Burial Valley. Without the aid of magic arts or teleportation devices, he traveled on land like Xuanzang of the Tang dynasty, who had gone on a pilgrimage for Buddhist scriptures. On his way, Zhu Ke passed by some villages of ordinary people that reminded him of the days he'd spent in the Banshan village. He sought temporary lodging in some ordinary persons' cottages in those villages for several days. He was kindly treated. Although the time was quite short, he started to feel that he was still in the Banshan village. During this period, he became lost in many thoughts. The content mind pursued by unsophisticated villagers was a type of Tao. The interest pursued by businessmen who journeyed north and south was a type of Tao. The scholarly honor and official rank pursued by poor scholars was a kind of Tao. The loneliness of the widows at night was a kind of Tao. Every night, Zhu Ke climbed high walls to peep at the widows taking baths, which was also a kind of No, it was not Tao. It was a kind of hobby. Generally speaking, Zhu Ke sensed the life of the ordinary people with his eyes and his heart. He started to have a vague feeling about his Tao. One day, Zhu Ke arrived at another village. The old village chief asked Zhu Ke, "Young man, what do you do for a living? Why do you came to this small place?" Zhu Ke smiled a bit and replied, "I am building my path." Hearing that, the old village chief was quite delighted. "Building a path? Good. Come here, young man. Could you repair the road at the entrance to our village?" "Are you kidding?" "What? Nothing." "Old village chief, building a path is different from repairing a road." "There is nothing different. A path is a road and a road is a path, right? Although they are created by people, you have to repair them from time to time. Otherwise, they'll stop working." "Young man, are you really a man who builds paths?" "A road is a path is a road. They are created by people." Zhu Ke was stunned a bit and kept repeating these words. His eyes lit up gradually. The next moment, his mind became clear as if he had figured out everything. A mysterious aura appeared in his body suddenly, which made him quite otherworldly. "I got it. Ha ha, finally, I figure it out." Zhu Ke laughed delightedly. Sometimes the simple answer is always right there. However, people still try to search for it like headless chickens. Once they are reminded by others or figure it out themselves, they know the answer is right in front of them. This was just like someone calling his friend with his cell phone while searching in his pockets and yelling, "Damn, I lost my cell phone." As an old saying goes, there is always a dark area under an oil lamp. Its implied meaning is exactly same with this. Zhu Ke finally had a clear feeling about his Taoist connotation. For a long time, he had been puzzled by the method of acting tough. He wondered what the Tao of acting tough was. Defeating an enemy by showing signs of weakness, crushing the enemy with mighty power. Now he knew none of these was the Tao of acting tough. The so-called Tao of acting tough was to choose the Tao he wanted boldly and confidently. No matter what the Tao was, there are numerous ways of cultivation, and I only choose the one that suits my heart. That day, Zhu Ke summoned his Taoist body and ordered it to repair the road for the old village chief. Then, he left hurriedly with Buttface and planned to find a place to start his cultivation. With tens of millions of high-grade spirit stones and countless elixirs, he only needed 1 or 2 years of secluded cultivation to return to the infant transformation stage. He could even reach the void training stage. However, before he had time to find a satisfactory place for his secluded cultivation, the East Continent exploded once again in an uproar. Everyone was shocked by the news sent from the South Continent. "My God!" The background of that Zhu Ke is finally clear. Guanju declared in the South Continent that Zhu Ke is his favorite apprentice. I also heard that Guanju asked people to deliver the news that he hopes Zhu Ke can have dinner with him as soon as possible to strengthen the master-apprentice bonding. Otherwise, his herbs will wither. Chapter 643. Surprise, surprise. Half a month later, the hearsay had spread over the entire East Continent. This was not only due to Guanju's powerful strength but also Zhu Ke's recent amazing actions. The combination had startled the entire continent. I knew from the beginning that Zhu Ke, who is so shameless, mean, and ruthless, could only be the apprentice of Duanjude. Awesome, but I have to say Zuke is even superior to Duanjude. The apprentice has outdone his master. I'm not sure about that. Duanjude used to cause a lot of trouble and nobody could stop him. In recent decades, he chose to keep a low profile. I heard that he found it quite boring when nobody dared to offend him. Haha. That's why he cultivated an apprentice and sent him to make troubles in the world. This topic was being talked about in all places where there were cultivators. After hearing this annoyable news, Zuke frowned immediately. He planned to settle scores with Duanjude, but he didn't expect Duanjude could move first by declaring publicly that his apprentice was Zuke. Damn, he tried to force me to meet him in the South Continent by threatening me with 2 Genesis herbs. Hey. This old bastard is too arrogant. Zuke sneered. Duanjude knew clearly that Zuke wanted those Genesis herbs very much. Therefore, Duanjude took away the 2 herbs deliberately and pushed him to this place from the 5 Elements Mountain. Now he provoked and threatened Zuke again. Zuke was very anxious to go to the South Continent and beat that old guy up. Duanjude was nothing. When I overran the world, he hadn't been born yet. Buttface said disdainfully after hearing the news. Come on, let's go to the South Continent and set scores with him. Zuke patted Buttface's head and said with a smile as he looked beyond. Buttface was surprised by his words. Are you insane? You haven't started your cultivation yet. It is impossible for you to go to the South Continent as an ordinary person. It's a daydream. Don't worry, we can still use the teleportation devices. Zuke said with a smile. No way, as an ordinary person, you will be torn into pieces when the teleportation device is activated. Buttface said disdainfully. Zuke shook his head. You don't need to worry about that. I have all kinds of defensive magical artifacts. Indeed, the Spirit Visage and the Banshee's Veil could resist the tearing force generated from the teleportation devices. However, Zuke planned to perform secluded cultivation for 1 or 2 years till he reached the void training stage. At that time, he would break all shackles and nobody could defeat him. He could also enter the ancient bronze hall to save Zhang Hongyan. The problem was that he couldn't find an ideal place for his secluded cultivation. The spiritual chi in this area was too sparse, which was even sparser than the 5 Elements Mountain. No matter how much spirit stones he had, his cultivation requirements couldn't be satisfied. Now Duanjude was so arrogant, Zuke decided to punish him first and took back 2 Genesis herbs at the same time. Hey, little brat, it suddenly occurred to me that it seems you could also benefit from going to the South Continent as an ordinary person. Buttface lit up his eyes and said excitedly. Zuke was surprised. Why did you say that? Ha ha ha. I used to enter that mystery land in those years. The spiritual chi was quite intense there. You could absolutely yield twice the result with half the effort if you could perform your secluded cultivation there. Buttface said. Zuke squinted his eyes immediately. Why did you offer me such a good opportunity? No, this is not like you. Shit. What do you mean by saying that? I've never cheated you before. Buttface pissed off immediately as if he had been wronged. However, the next moment, he changed his attitude. He looked at Zuke and said in a fluttering way, of course, I also have to trouble you by asking you to help me in dealing with something. Hey, I know that. Zuke smiled ironically as he shook his head. Come on, little brat. It is also for your own sake. If you go there, I could ensure you will gain a lot of benefits and we could divide the precious items in the mystery land equally. Buttface continued his persuasion. Zuke was quite calm. The last things he wanted now were those so-called precious items. However, he was quite interested in Buttface's suggestion that he could perform secluded cultivation in the mystery land. So, what precious items are hiding in the mystery land? Damn, I haven't entered that place either. How could I know that? But don't worry, I'm sure there are good things there. And nobody has found them till now. As the largest treasure house in the mystery land, that place is well hidden. I tried to enter that place in those years, but I was stopped by the powerful spells. Now with your help, we could absolutely enter that place. Buttface said excitedly. Zuke shook his head. No way. My knowledge about spells is quite limited. maybe even less than yours. At least I can't improve my spell skills remarkably in a short time." Zhu Ke was quite embarrassed about his spell skills. Now he had over 10,000 acting tough points, but it was not enough for him to enhance his spell skills remarkably. Otherwise, he would have broken the spells in the ancient bronze hall now. Hey, you don't need to break the spells." Buttface smiled sinisterly and said cryptically, "Although nobody could break that spell, I know a secret about it." "What secret?" Zhu Ke asked curiously. Buttface replied in a low voice, "I am the only one who knows this secret. That spell is only effective for cultivators, but it has no effect on ordinary persons. When an ordinary person without any cultivation achievements walks through it, the spell will perform practically no function." "Really?" Zhu Ke was dubious about that. Although he knew there were spell mechanisms like this, he still felt Buttface's reply was unreliable. Buttface said by patting his chest immediately, "It is absolutely true. If I lie to you, I will be a dog." "Damn, you just shut up," Zhu Ke said disdainfully. However, he summoned his Taoist body at last, for he decided to go to the South Continent to set scores with Wanjud and take back the Genesis herbs. Then, he would enter that mystery land and tried to regain his strength by reaching the void training stage, so that he could come back to save Zhang Hongyan. 2 days later, Zhu Ke's Taoist body stepped on lightnings and started to fly towards an ancient city nearby by taking Zhu Ke's real body and Buttface with it. When they arrived, Zhu Ke put on the spirit visage and the Banshee's veil to protect his body. Then, he walked into the teleportation device before the astonished eyes of the onlookers. Boom! Being propelled by the powerful strength of the best-grade spirit stones, the teleportation device was activated and started to run rapidly. It seemed something occurred to Zhu Ke, who shouted at the cultivators outside the teleportation device abruptly, "Please deliver this message for me. I am Zhu Ke of the Exploding Heavens faction. But I am not the apprentice of Wanjud." "That old fart is nothing. He is even not qualified to be my apprentice. How dare he pretend to be my master? He is shameless, impudent and vile. He said he wants to invite me to dinner, right? Please tell him to wash his butt. Puff. No, wash his neck and wait for his death." Whoosh! After saying that, Zhu Ke and Buttface disappeared in the teleportation device. After being dumbfounded by his words for a while, the onlookers came to themselves and were greatly shocked. Zhu Ke is not Wanjud's apprentice. He even asked Wanjud to wash his neck and wait for his death. Could it be that he plans to settle scores with Wanjud in the South Continent? My god, is he insane? He is definitely seeking for his death. That day, the message left by Zhu Ke caused an uproar in that area. Then, the message was spread over rapidly. Shocking news. Zhu Ke announced he is not Wanjud's apprentice. Wanjud is pretending to be his master. Surprise. This news will make men mute and women weep. Zhu Ke said Wanjud is shameless and is even not qualified to be his apprentice. Surprise. If you are a person living in the East Continent, you should spread this news. It is said that Zhu Ke has left for the South Continent by using the teleportation device. He will settle scores with Wanjud there. Chapter 644, Acquaintances from the Five Elements Mountain. A teleportation device could be used to travel between the East Continent and the South Continent. What Zhu Ke didn't expect was that he'd spent over 1 month in taking the teleportation device to the South Continent. The distance between the two continents was too large. He might need 10 years or half a century to cover this distance by flying, and now he could only walk on the ground. Zhu Ke didn't spend a long time in the East Continent. Although he had been to many places, these places were only a drop in the bucket for the entire East Continent. For example, the Celestial Burial Valley and its peripheral area where Zhu Ke spent half a year was only a small dot in the East Continent. Now he'd spent over 1 month by taking the teleportation device, which not only surprised him but also made him accept this part of cultivation life. That time was meaningless. For cultivators, 10 years or 20 years went by in the blink of an eye, forget 1 or 2 months. After all, what they pursued was a life not lasting hundreds or thousands of years. but a life that lasted forever. Alas, when can I reach a stage where I can freely travel this world with only one step? Zhu Ke exclaimed when he came out of the teleportation device. However, his heart was filled with anticipation for the future. Now his real body hadn't started the cultivation yet. However, his real body already had the Taoist connotation, which bestowed a bright future upon him. Buttface, who was quite scornful of Zhu Ke's exclamation, shook his head. I used to cover all kinds of distances at a slow pace. When I become the magic dragon, I will blow off the entire East continent with a sneeze. That will be a great disaster. You won't die if you don't bluff. When I was an ordinary person in those years, I could kill hundreds of millions of lives by just moving my hand. Zhu Ke replied calmly. Then, he started to look around. Now they had arrived in the South Continent. However, the teleportation device was located in the desolate mountains. When they stepped out of the teleportation device, they could vaguely hear the thunderous howling and roaring of demonic beasts in the mountains. Those are not howls or roars, just some demonic beasts breathing, Buttface said solemnly after listening for a moment. Zhu Ke was surprised. How can their breathing be so thunderous? SHT, does that demonic beast have rhinitis? When Zhu Ke was in the East Continent, he'd only dealt with human beings and had seldom come across demonic beasts or half-human half-demons. He didn't expect to encounter demonic beasts before humans after arriving in the South Continent. Hey, this teleportation device is located on the verge of a death trap in the South Continent, very dangerous. Buttface laughed confidently. However, under the protection of your Taoist body, as well as my mighty deterrent, you have nothing to fear. Bang! Zhu Ke slapped Buttface's forehead with his hand. Wake up now. Don't try to act tough in front of me, just show me the way. Buttface was stunned. Holy SHT, was I just hit by an ordinary person? How could this be? If you keep talking, I will ask my Taoist body to beat you up. Zhu Ke threatened. Damn, I made a mistake. I thought you were an ordinary person, so I relaxed my vigilance. Buttface murmured in a recalcitrant manner. Then, he walked out and started to check the terrain and find the way. A moment later, Buttface found the way and pointed southeast. I got it. Come this way and we'll arrive at the entrance of the Mystery Land. Without any hesitation, Zhu Ke summoned his Taoist body and asked it to fly them to their destination on lightning. Zhu Ke chose this teleportation device because it was closer to the Mystery Land. It was still very far. After flying for 7 days and nights, Zhu Ke and Buttface managed to fly out of those desolated mountains. On their way, they encountered some flying demonic beasts, which were all killed by his Taoist body. Half a month later, they arrived at a place outside a valley and landed on the ground. According to Buttface's description, this valley was the entrance of the Mystery Land, which opened once every 100 years. Every time the Mystery Land opened, it was only for 3 years. After 3 years, everyone in the Mystery Land was teleported out automatically, and the Mystery Land disappeared. The entire area then turned into a boundless plain. However, when Zhu Ke and Buttface arrived, the entrance of the valley was packed with people. Upon closer inspection, they found these people were standing with members of their families and sects instead of randomly. These people had set up many tents surrounded by flags with the emblems of their families and sects. At first glance, it was just like the sword competition on Mount Hua in the Chinese kung fu novels. Zhu Ke immediately noticed many families and sects from the East Continent. There were also a lot of strange faces and organizations which probably came from the South Continent, the West Desert and the North Sea. He also noticed a lot of demonic beasts and half-human half-demon. The scene was quite spectacular. These people had their eyes fixed on the entrance to the valley, where a mountainous stone tablet stood. On the tablet, numerous characters, which indicated the names of the families, sects, and persons, were glowing. The ranking of the names kept changing. Some names dimmed down from time to time. The stone tablet was just like a ranking list. It's just a mystery land. How could it attract all the families and sects in the 4 continents here? Is it really necessary to be so grand? Zhu Ke asked, confused. Little brat, Buttface replied with a smirk. Don't underestimate this mystery land. It used to be an ancient celestial mountain filled with celestials. Later, it was abandoned. There are altogether 9 layers. The higher the layer is, the more precious the items there are. I even heard that the summit of the 9th layer is packed with numerous celestial artifacts and elixirs. It's a pity that I only reached the 3rd layer by exhausting all mental efforts last time. You only reached the 3rd layer after 3 years' effort? Zuke was shocked. Little brat, Buttface said bitterly. You'll understand the size of the mystery land when you enter. I climbed to the 3rd layer last time as 1 in a million. I can guarantee that the highest achievement of everyone entering the mystery land will be the 2nd layer. You're too weak, Zuke said and started to bluff. If I still had my cultivation, I would reach the summit of the 9th layer immediately and pee into the wind. Buttface smiled disdainfully. Little brat, if you can reach the 4th layer, then I can turn into a pig someday. Really? Then you'll be worse than a pig or a dog in the future, right? Zuke asked in surprise. FCK. Buttface cursed angrily. However, Zuke stopped arguing with Buttface. He stepped toward the valley and walked into the crowd. Instead of going into the mystery land hurriedly, he decided to inquire about Wanjude's whereabouts first. According to the news, this was the place where Wanjude spread his words, which meant he was somewhere not far away. Unfortunately, Zuke wandered around the crowds without meeting any acquaintances. After all, the mystery land had been opened for 3 months. People like Liu Jingning had long entered the mystery land. In desperation, Zuke had to take the second best route by finding the Utopia faction. However, after a lengthy search, he also failed to find the Utopia faction. This place was too large. Thousands of families and sects were gathering here. What, is that you, Lord Zu? A surprised voice came from behind Zuke. Zuke was stunned. When he turned around, he was dumbfounded. He saw acquaintances from the 5 Elements Mountain. Chapter 645. Damn. Zuke, halt. A group of people, who were led by 4 old men at the infant transformation stage, were walking up to Zuke. Behind them, there were many young men and women at the Golden Core stage or the original infant stage. Among these young people, Zuke spotted several familiar faces, including Zhang Suliang and Tang Zuoru, who used to deal with Zuke when he was in the 5 Elements Mountain. Tang Zuoru left a deep impression on Zuke. When he had first crossed into this world, he had appeared under Tang Zuoru's butt. She had taken off her skirt and was about pee. Also because of this misunderstanding, Zuke had offended the elder of the Celestial Sect. After that, he fled to the treasure house of the Celestial Sect and met Zhang Suliang, who was the senior apprentice of the Celestial Sect when he had been eating those stolen pills. When Zuke ruined over half of the Celestial Sect, Zhang Suliang and Tang Zuoru left Celestial Sect together with many apprentices. Zuke met them again during the trial organized by the Sky Incense Valley. He seized the Star Miscanthus back for them. After that, Zuke hadn't seen them till now. He didn't expect he would see them in the South Continent after several years. Young Master Zu, do you remember me? An old man at the infant transformation stage asked. I hosted the trial you participated in the Fire Nation. You managed to reach the 8th floor of the Tower of Souls, which shocked me greatly. I didn't expect you to also be in this place, he said in surprise as he stared at Zuke. Zuke realized these people were from the Sky Incense Valley. Apparently, Zhang Suliang and Tang Zuoru had successfully passed the trial and become apprentices of the Sky Incense Valley. Also, their civilization had seen rapid improvement. Tang Zuoru had reached the Golden Core stage. Zhang Suliang had even reached the original infant stage. They progressed really quickly. However, the old man brought some memories back into Zuke's mind when he mentioned the Tower of Souls. He had met the Empress, who was naked, in that tower. The Empress's beauty had shocked him. He remembered the Empress used to be an apprentice of the Sky Incense Valley. Therefore, Zuke folded his hands and spoke with a smile. Seniors of the Sky Incense Valley, I've heard so much about you. Did you also come here to participate in the Mystery Land trial? Zuke was puzzled. After all, Ordinary cultivators of the Five Elements Mountain were not able to come to this place. Although the Sky Incense Valley was one of the three biggest sects in the Five Elements Mountain, it was inferior to those third-rate sects overseas. Young Master Zhu, you may not know the Sky Incense Valley is from the South Continent. The old man said with a smile. It turned out that the Sky Incense Valley was a small sect in the South Continent. They coincidentally found the ancient teleportation device which led to the Five Elements Mountain, so they established a branch in the Five Elements Mountain and tried to find talented new apprentices to strengthen their headquarters here. In addition, the purpose for them to take in new apprentices in those years was to cultivate more apprentices for this Mystery Land trial, so that more apprentices could become stronger by searching for opportunities and fortunes in the Mystery Land. This way, they could strengthen the entire sect. Zhu Ke nodded. I see. That was why the Empress chose to join the Sky Incense Valley after arriving at the Five Elements Mountain. Apparently, she fancied the foundation and background of this sect. After all, it was from the South Continent. The resources she got for her cultivation would be far more than what the other sects in the Five Elements Mountain could offer. Her cultivation progress would be faster. Young Master Zhu, long time no see. Zhang Suliang stepped forward and folded his hands, nodding at Zhu Ke. Tang Xueru's face was quite red. It seemed she also remembered first meeting Zhu Ke. However, she was not that stiff and said hello to Zhu Ke with a red face. It's really been a long time. Zhu Ke replied with a smile. Then, he cut to the chase by asking the people of the Sky Incense Valley whether they knew the whereabouts of Duanjud. They were shocked by Zhu Ke's question. The old man at the infant transformation stage leading their team gave him a wry smile. Young Master Zhu, frankly speaking, when we left for this place our teleportation device failed. So we just arrived here yesterday. Now we are still finding the encampment of our headquarters. You could join us. When we arrive at there, we will get news about that. Forget it. I provoked several enemies recently. I could be spotted by them at any time. If I go with you, you could be implicated by me. Zhu Ke said with a hollow smile, refusing the old man with a wave of his hand. No wonder these people had shown surprise and not shock when they first saw Zhu Ke. Apparently, they didn't know Zhu Ke had become the enemy of the entire East Continent. Wait, young Master Zhu, your cultivation. The old man at the infant transformation stage suddenly sensed something was wrong with Zhu Ke. His cultivation achievements were gone. It was as if he was just an ordinary person. There were two possibilities for this. Either Zhu Ke had gone beyond the form synthesis stage, so they couldn't sense Zhu Ke's cultivation, or Zhu Ke had lost his cultivation achievements and become an ordinary person. Alas, it is a sad story. Zhu Ke exclaimed while shaking his head. I provoked some enemies. Then, I found problems with the magic arts I had cultivated. Therefore, I destroyed my cultivation and became an ordinary person. Hearing that, Buttface leered at Zhu Ke disdainfully, but he didn't debunk his story. The people of the Sky Incense Valley were shocked by Zhu Ke's words and didn't believe what they heard. The self-destruction of cultivation? How could this be? It seems nobody has done that before. After all, after destroying one's cultivation, the person could not successfully regain any cultivation achievements. They were quite curious for they didn't believe Zhu Ke could destroy his cultivation. His pathetic condition could have been caused by being seriously wounded by his enemy, or his enemy just depriving him of his cultivation achievements. At the thought of this, their hearts filled with mixed emotions. After being shocked for a while, the old man at the infant transformation stage said with a smile, Young Master Zhu, don't worry. The Sky Incense Valley is a small sect in the South Continent, but we do know a lot of people. Many sects could show due respect to us. If you have offended them, we could help you solve the trouble. Although Zhu Ke had lost his cultivation, he still cherished Zhu Ke's natural endowment. He thought he should help Zhu Ke. If he could regain his cultivation achievements, his future would still be extraordinary. Zhu Ke smiled. He knew if he told the old man he had offended all the big families and sects in the East Continent, he would be scared senseless on the spot. However, he was still touched. He rarely met old acquaintances in this place. After learning he had become an ordinary person, the old man had even offered to help him. No matter what his purpose was, it was quite rare in the world of cultivators. "Thanks, but no thanks. I am kind of in a rush. I need to get news from others now. We'll meet if fate allows it. Farewell." Zuke refused the old man's kindness with a final shake of his head. Then, he turned around and left. He knew clearly that the big families and sects could do nothing to hurt him because they didn't know his background and history. They were not able to kill him, but they would definitely vent their rage on the Sky Incense Valley if they learned of his relationship to it. To avoid implicating too many people, Zuke left directly without any hesitation. The next moment, he had disappeared in the crowd together with Buttface. Looking at Zuke from behind, Zhang Suliang exclaimed together with the other cultivators. Tang Zuru sighed slightly. Alas, things remain the same but men do not. When he was in the Five Elements Mountain, he was the top cultivator and invincible. I didn't expect he could lose his cultivation and become an ordinary person overseas. When I was in the Fire Nation, I also heard of a lot of Senior K's heroic deeds. An apprentice from the Five Elements Mountain said, "He has always been my role model. I never expected him to become an ordinary person. But why did he refuse our help? I guess. This should be the dignity of a powerhouse." Zhang Suliang said respectfully. Someone shook his head. "Actually, if we place ourselves in his position, we can see that he's ashamed to accept our help because he used to be the most powerful cultivator. He said he doesn't want to implicate us, which is an excuse for him to avoid embarrassment." Alas, what you said is right. If I were him, I wouldn't have the nerve to face the old acquaintances. That's enough. The old man at the infant transformation stage interrupted. "Stop talking about him. Let's find our headquarters encampment. We are several months late. I'm afraid the main force has left." He sighed in his heart and continued to lead the team forward. However, just at this moment, an uproar occurred in the crowds behind them. People of the Sky Incense Valley were surprised by the uproar, so they turned around to check it out. The next moment, exclamations started to come from the turbulent crowd. "FCK, look, that guy should be Zuke, right? Holy SHT, he's walking with a dog. That's him. My gosh, he really has the nerve to come to the South Continent." Several days ago, I heard news from the East Continent. He said he's not Duanjude's apprentice. He even plans to settle scores with Duanjude. I didn't expect him to arrive so quickly. Damn, Zuke, I got you. Halt. The Zhang family needs to settle scores with you. The Gong family will also seek revenge from you. The Bei family is waiting for you. HMPH, the Carefree building must kill you today.